that's the reason they're going to win the league this year. For example, when they're in their pomp, Manchester United winning leagues, and Schmeichel was a big part of that. And David Raya is up there now, but obviously they've got to get the job done. They're not there yet, Steve. And there's obviously Manchester City, a big result yesterday, and they're putting the pressure back. Of course, we've not really mentioned West Ham as well, because they've got their own cup final today, haven't they? They're at the bottom fighting for their lives, you know. So it sets up to be a quality game, hopefully for us neutrals.
Top man, Shay, thank you very much,
thanks,
as
Steve.
always.
Thanks, guys.
John, just before we let you go, because I know it will appeal to you, the last goalkeeper to win the Football Writers Player of the Year.
Ooh,
it appeals to you because it's pre-Premier League.
I was going to say Peter Shilton.
No, more recent than that.
Neville Southall.
Correct, John Murray. Very good.
I teed him up there.
Yeah.
I'll let him have that one.
Before anyone messages in, Peter Schmeichel did win, but he won the Premier League Player of the Year, not the Football Writers. Right, good stuff, you two. We'll be back with the commentary team shortly at the London Stadium. Let's go back into that second Women's FA Cup semi-final. Chelsea-Manchester City. Paul Gilmore.
Half-time, Chelsea 1, Manchester City 0. Erin Cuthbert's deflected strike on her 300th club appearance, the difference so far. Sam Kerr then thought she had doubled the lead, but her goal was controversially ruled out with the ball judged to have gone out of play in the build-up. City grew into the game after Chelsea's strong start, although Lauren Hemp and Khadijah Shaw were both unable to find the target. Brighton away at the winners at Wembley on the 31st of May. Chelsea 1, Manchester City 0.
Definitely the pick of the playoff semi-final first leg so far is the game ongoing at Grimsby. Rob Law.
And that's mainly, Steve, because there's actually goals in this one. Grimsby 1, Salford 2. This second half is bubbling into life. Every single ball being contested with bite and with venom. The referee is at times letting things go, but as a result, he's been met with chants of "you don't know what you're doing" by the Grimsby fans. The home side have done the double over Salford this season, but at the moment they're trailing, although you do feel there's more goals in this one yet. Grimsby 1, Salford 2.
The other first leg in League 2, Chesterfield, Notts County, is a 6 o'clock kickoff. So that's the fight to get out of League 2. What about the game to get into it at Wembley? Aaron Paul.
Some game here. Bournemouth 1, Rochdale now. After a fast start for Rochdale at the beginning of this half, it is Bournemouth have come back to the fore. First up, Reagan Booty beautifully curled ball in towards the back post. Matt Rush with a side-footed half-volley shot straight at the goalkeeper. Then Abdul Malik Maisie run, maybe took a bit too much on the too much time on the ball, too many touches. His effort deflected away from a corner. Then Inde, tricky feet, right side, shoots just inside the box, inches wide. We've just seen a chance for Rochdale themselves. Joe Pritchard with it. They need something, anything, to get back into this one. Bournemouth looking more likely to add to their total. Bournemouth 1, Rochdale 0.
On Sports Extra 3 right now, you've got England versus New Zealand in the women's ODI at the Riverside. How's the England run chase going? Fionn Wynne.
Yeah, England have recovered really nicely after a couple of quick wickets. Heather Knight and Emma Lamb both falling, but Freya Kemp and Maya Boucher have recovered to 76 for 3 in the 21st over, so another 135 required for their target of 211. Kemp has 18, Maya Boucher 14. England 76 for 3 in the 21st.
Thank you very much, Fiancé. Sports Extra 3, it's also now on 5 Sports Extra, so you can listen to that there. We have got, 6 minutes to go until full commentary of West Ham versus Arsenal in the Premier League at the London Stadium, and the stadium is on its feet for a very special guest, John Murray.
Yes, Trevor Brooking is just walking out. Sir Trevor Brooking, to give him his full title. Always absolutely so popular wherever he goes, but most popular here inside this stadium. And in actual fact, while today here at West Ham is the day that they've dedicated to the Moore Family Foundation fixture, and Bobby Moore's daughter Roberta is here as well, what today also is the 46th anniversary to the day of the 1980 FA Cup final, when Trevor Brooking scored the winner, the only goal of the match, with a header for West Ham against Arsenal.
And John, it just occurred to me as well that he was caretaker, wasn't he, when he very, very nearly orchestrated an incredible relegation escape for West Ham. I think they might be still the only team to go down on 42 points, but I mean, if not for Sir Trevor Brooking, they would have gone down a lot earlier, I think.
And also, if you remember back, for those who do remember, surprised us all that Sir Trevor, who at the time was on Match of the Day, always so urbane and calm and collected, when he became the manager of West Ham, it was almost like the Incredible Hulk. Suddenly a different man appeared, and he was full of passion and activity. He was almost like Diego Simeone on the side of the pitch.
And it's another great way, actually, Rob, not that this is clearly the only reason to do it, to get this crowd up. These little set pieces, these little things can make all the difference.
Yeah, you get them in, get them packed in and get them firing, and they need them from the off today. It feels like it's going to be a game full of tension, a game full of nerves for both sides, and you're thinking the longer they can manage that, the longer they can keep this game at 0-0, they'll get a chance in the game. They've just got to take it. They've got enough there up front in terms of Somerville, in terms of Bowen, Wan-Bissaka coming up the wing, Diouf up the sides. They've got the ammunition to put to trouble Arsenal at times. It's holding that tension and using that energy from the crowd today.
They have done really well to hang on to Jared Bowen, and he's obviously on a really long-term contract. But brass tacks, Rob, they must be in the Premier League to keep him, surely.
I think this is it. I think this is it for Jared Bowen. I think this is so big that need to turn it around, and it's going to be something big that will have to keep him here, because he's been the standout man. He's been carrying this team for basically for too long.
Players are about to make their way out, so we'll hear the reception that the West Ham players get. I just wanted to ask you one more on Miles Lewis-Skelly. Rob, I think a lot of people expected Zubimendi might find his way back into that midfield, but it's an indication of just how well Lewis-Skelly has done.
Yeah, I think he's better on the ball. I think Zubimendi got bought as this controlling midfielder, this player that could hold the game and replace Jorginho in terms of the number of passes. I don't think that's worked out for Zubimendi. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly is the player that they look at now and say, to progress the ball forwards, to get it from the problems where they had against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, getting it out of the defence and through midfield, he's better equipped. And I'll tell you what, he's shown them that he can do it. Today's going to be different for them, because you feel like he's going to have loads of time to develop the ball, because West Ham will sit. It's how he does it and how he picks those moments.
It's one of the great football entrances, isn't it? The West Ham bubbles, the West Ham fans singing to the music, then singing a cappella. Commentary's just a couple of minutes away. Quick reminder of the full times that we've had in the football so far. So Burnley 2, Villa 0. Sorry, do that again. Burnley 2, Villa 2. Palace 2, Everton 2. Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Reaction to all of this coming at half-time at the London Stadium. Salford are 2-1 up at Grimsby in the League 2 playoff semi-final. First leg. Chesterfield Notts County is the other first leg. That one kicks off at 6 o'clock. Boreham Wood still a 0-0 up against Rochdale in the National League playoff final. Brighton have booked their place in the Women's FA Cup final for the first time. 3-2 win secured late on at Liverpool, and half-time in the other semi-final is Chelsea 1, Manchester City 0. Celtic beat Rangers 3-1 earlier to move a point behind Hearts, a game which included probably the best goal I have seen this season, a stunning Dyson Maeda bicycle kick. More reaction to come to that, but now all eyes on the London Stadium. Just a massive game in this Premier League season. West Ham Arsenal, Rob Green and correspondent John Murray.
Well, it is a wide open cauldron, the London Stadium, the former Olympic Stadium, and the cauldron has been warmed by the flames that have been spewing out from the fire boxes on the far side of the pitch. They've had fireworks as well. We've still got the bubbles in the air, and the teams are out. Only a fortnight of this Premier League season to go now, and it is relegation threatened West Ham against top of the table Arsenal. That is the commentary that is coming right up from East London. But in northwest London, Aaron Paul,
Boreham Wood have taken a big step towards the Football League. Boreham Wood 2, Rochdale 0. Abdul Malik, excellent all afternoon. He has his goal, dragging the ball left side of the area onto his right and potting it in the corner past a crowd of players. Boreham Wood 2, Rochdale 0.
Well, that certainly is a story at Wembley. And what happens here in the London Stadium today will almost certainly be a story as well, because in the midst of all of the other football happenings going on at this hectic time of the season, it's probably worth stressing at the outset that this is a match of huge meaning and significance at both the bottom end and the top of the table. If Arsenal win, it'll look like they've cleared their toughest hurdle left in the Premier League. And if West Ham lose, Premier League relegation will be staring them in the face, Rob Green.
It's massive for both teams, and as you say, this Arsenal side at the end of a week of dreams really for them, they can seal what will be a huge 3 points with a win. For West Ham, looking at Tottenham, looking at the shift in momentum, the swings and the turmoil that they've been through, they've had the upturns, they've had a dip of recent weeks. They need a response today more than ever.
Well, I see that David Raya is just trotting back now with the captain Martin Odegaard's on the bench for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka, as World Service listeners join us from all around the planet here at the home of West Ham, unmistakably the home of West Ham. The Arsenal players in their cream-coloured shirts are in a huddle down in the corner closest to the Arsenal fans to our right, and West Ham are just about ready for action. A change of formation from Nuno Espirito Santo for his team. Three central defenders, so Hermansen in goal, Disasi, Todibo and Mavropanos, with Wan-Bissaka coming in as the right wing back, Juve on the left, Souček and Fernandes in the middle, and then Captain Bowen, Somerville and Castellanos. So Pablo and Walker-Peters are on the bench today, and the Arsenal team as they now line up for the start of the match, unchanged again, same team for the third match running. Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori, Rice and Lewis Skelly, then Saka, Eza, Trossard and Gyökeres. There's the whistle, and it's Declan Rice, the former West Ham captain, who gets the match underway, kicking off for Arsenal. Still thousands of bubbles that are in between us here in our high distant commentary position and the pitch down there, and Arsenal, Eza winning it back. Arsenal have won their last two matches here by the small matter of 5-2 and 6-0, trying to make a fast start with Ben White on the right-hand side, and then it goes back from Saka back to the halfway line. So yes, Rob Green sitting to my right here, former England goalkeeper, Premier League goalkeeper and a West Ham goalkeeper. And again, Arsenal on the attack against West Ham in the claret shirts with the blue trim, the white shorts and the white socks, and then a foul on Souček, just caught by Calafiori, and a free kick to West Ham on the edge of their own penalty area.
Yeah, dominant start from Arsenal, as you were expecting, having possession in the West Ham half. And just interesting, you're looking at the centre-halves, the three centre-halves as West Ham as they've lined up. Toledo's probably got a little bit more licence to drift, but what you're looking from Arsenal here, I think the key areas is Ben White and Bukayo Saka, with Eza drifting out there for them to overload Diouf on that left-hand side for West Ham. I think that's going to be key for Arsenal to break down the West Ham back line.
Yeah, and those three, Mavropanos, the man in the middle, Disasi on the left, and Todibo on the right. And it is Todibo in possession who turns and plays the ball back to the former Arsenal man, Mavropanos. And now back to Todibo again, Bowen to the right-hand side. These matches, as Wan-Bissaka has the ball at his feet, these matches, I mean, we say it all of the time, but it does feel first goal in this match so important.
It's huge, and you look at the benches as well, John. You look at they've got Wilson on the bench. Pablo hasn't scored for West Ham. If Arsenal score first, where do they go? How do they change it?
Long pass out to Wan-Bissaka, pushing up the right-hand side, takes the ball to the corner flag and then concedes a throw. Actually, Calafiori got a touch off it. Brings Zubamendi back into the midfield. Would Hincapié play at left back? Calafiori started the last couple of matches, but we know his recent injury record. But again, he's confidently gone with that team.
Go with his strongest team, and you can't argue with what he's seen and what he's done so far with this side in the week that they've had.
Delightful little glance header from Eza as the ball was cleared away from the Arsenal left-back position. Here's Trossard now down the left. Trossard into the edge of the area. Gyökeres will play it across towards the edge of the box. White was arriving, actually plays it back to Declan Rice. They're still booing him after all these years. Ball played in from the right-hand side, but from Ben White, it's all the way across the face of goal, beyond anyone in a cream shirt. and through for a goal kick.
Yeah, a little opening for Trossard down the left-hand side and had yards to run into. He's just not got the pace to beat Todibo, and West Ham with the three centre-backs could get the numbers back and usher Gyökeres away from the ball, away from the cross. But you feel if the wing-backs, do push on, which they are for West Ham, that opening down those channels, down the side is on.
5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. You can listen to both via your BBC Sounds app, which you can download for absolutely free, or the price of the licence fee, at least. So 0-0, very claret and blue down there, isn't it? Or very claret and cream, rather.
They're similar kits, aren't
Very
they?
similar.
Yeah.
Arsenal in the cream-coloured shirts, played forward, and then Todibo, Trossard's underneath that. Trossard also continuing in the team. Maybe Martinelli might have had a go today, but Mikel Arteta, as we've said, very keen to keep this momentum going that they got really in the first half of that match against Fulham that you and I were commentating on.
Yeah,
when
that
stepped it up.
Absolutely wonderful first half of football, wasn't it? It was something I'm not sure anyone was expecting, and it just came to life and took Fulham to sword.
As West Ham have the ball at the back, playing the ball to goalkeeper Hermansen, who will pass it out to the left-hand side. Yes, Rob, the 5th weekend in a row that you and I have commentated together.
Well, my family at home will be sat listening and know you well.
They will. Here's Lewis Skelly, pushed out towards the right-hand side, and then Rice into the penalty area. Saka from the angle, but too close to goalkeeper Hermansen, who's able to dive forward and catch the ball quite comfortably. Yes, five weekends in a row, having not actually commentated at all together all season before that. It's funny how things work out, isn't it?
Brought us back together for the finale.
For the finale. Long clearance from Hermansen, but that's beyond anyone in a claret shirt. Somerville actually turns with his palms apart, as if to say, how was I supposed to do anything with that?
Well, they've hit a couple of balls out, one to Jarrod Bowen and one to Somerville, and it's away from Castellanos, away from Saliba and Gabriel. They're hitting anybody but them when they go forwards early, and it's just wondering whether they might just have to risk it a bit with Castellanos, because that's not a challenge, really. That's not something that Ben White or Calafiori are going to struggle with.
And Somerville, even though it's the 10th of May, is wearing gloves. But it is a cold afternoon. Here's Gyökeres with spring in his step. Gyökeres again, then it goes back towards the halfway line, and we will go back to Wembley because Aaron Paul.
One back for Rochdale, Bournemouth 2. Rochdale 1, the substitute. Tyler Smith having the ball knocked on into his path, able to drill it past the goalkeeper. Bournemouth 2, Rochdale 1.
And how long to go, Aaron?
We've got 13 to go, John, plus added on time.
Thank you. So that is the National League playoff final that Aaron is watching. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0 in the Premier League. Ball in for Eze near the edge of the box, but that breaks down. And West Ham in 18th place. Just to remind you, West Ham just below the dotted line, 36 points, 1 point behind Tottenham, who will be at home to Leeds tomorrow evening, and we'll keep you across that. At the same time, Arsenal at the top of the table now after their win last night, their slightly controversial win, Manchester City. Arsenal leading by 2 points, and coming into this, same number of matches played. Arsenal and Manchester City both 35 played.
I think Arsenal fans, after the game against Manchester City, would have snapped your hands off to be in this position, looking at West Ham and then Burnley and then Crystal Palace just before they play their cup final. It's an ideal scenario that they could have only hoped for, really, you're thinking.
That's very much the case as the ball just dribbles out of play for an Arsenal goal kick. Arsenal unbeaten in all 4 matches they've played in all competitions since losing at Manchester City in the title decider that might well not have been, but we will see what happens over the course of the next fortnight. You'll hear every blow all through to the end of the season with us here on 5 Live. The ball at the back with the 2 central defenders. Saliba passes it forward to Lewis Skelly with his claret socks down. Lewis Skelly, 3 starts in a row, having not previously started in his preferred position of midfield for Arsenal in a senior competitive match. Now 3 in a row. Lovely ball from Trossard. Calafiori could be under this and shoots, and it's deflected. Mavropanos just got over in time to put a foot in the way of that. But the ball forward from Trossard into the space, superbly played, and that was a chance. Well done, Mavropanos. Corner.
Yeah, huge block, and it's delightful. It's delightful from Trossard. Todibo, he has got that licence to drift, and he just drifts off. He just falls asleep momentarily. That run from Calafiori that we've all seen so many times this season, getting in behind the back line. And Mavropanos times it to perfection, gets that block in.
And let me say it quickly before Rice takes this corner, Rob. Arsenal, the team that's scored from more corners than anyone else in the Premier League this season. West Ham, the team that's conceded from most corners in the Premier League this season. Rice takes this in towards the back post. It's headed across, saved on the line. What a good save from Hermansen. Then a follow-up header, that's also blocked. West Ham struggling to get it away. Calafiori heads it, bounces down. Then a chance on the edge of the penalty area now with a shot from Eza that is deflected up and wide. What a scramble, and West Ham survive.
Brilliant save, and they could have scored 2 or 3. It was an incredible bundle in the middle of the area. West Ham just couldn't get it clear. Castellanos not helping, heading it back into the danger area, and it was just, would it fall for an Arsenal player? And then in the end it was another block, another desperate clearance that gets it away, and it could have gone anywhere. That was a fantastic reaction save, high above Hermansen's head initially.
And of all people, the man with the header was Trossard, and it was saved onto the frame of the goal by Hermansen, and he was in the 6-yard box, Trossard, from an angle, the far side of the 6-yard area, so he was only, maybe 5 yards out, something like that, and he was able to get a hand to it, Hermansen, and deflected onto the bar. Then the follow-up was also Trossard, before it eventually found its way to Eza on the edge of the box, and his shot was deflected wide, so a second consecutive corner. Well, that one caused real alarms, the Rice corner from the left. Now it's the Saka corner from the right. What's he going to do? This one is played into the near post, a flick across the face of goal from Gabriel, but over the top of the crossbar, and relieved cheers, I think, from the West Ham supporters, because it stays 0-0.
Yeah, 10 minutes in, and there's already been 2 big openings for Arsenal. One from Calafiori down the left, breaking through. It's going to have to be runners from deep. It's going to have to be runners from different areas for Arsenal because of West Ham's setup, and then a bit more predictably, the 2 corners that they've had caused real chaos. And you're just thinking there, it's all well and good having the zonal marking, but if you're just allowing runners to come in, you're asking to be beat on the first ball into the box.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. And if it carries on like that, well, West Ham won't survive. They won't survive pressure like that, and that's why we talk about the first goal being so important. If West Ham can get it, if Arsenal score in this period of the match, this will become very, very difficult for West Ham. And West Ham, remember, have not lost here at home in this stadium for 4 months, since the 6th of January, when, quite damagingly, if you remember, they lost to Nottingham Forest. That's the last time they lost over 90 minutes in this stadium.
Now, they've got a bit of a problem, West Ham, because they've got a back 5. They're sitting very, very deep. They're halfway in their own half. And so the rest of the team can't really put any pressure on the ball, and Lewis Skelly's picking up space and time and threading balls.
And now Lewis Skelly has threaded one of those passes to Gyökeres. He gives it to Trossard on the left-hand side. He's got Calafiori, but he goes infield. Trossard then lays it back to Gabriel, who's behind him. And it's all the way back to Saliba near the centre circle. The Arsenal fans here in great numbers in their section behind the goal to our right. But also, I think the feeling was that there might be quite a lot of Arsenal supporters in the West Ham sections.
Yeah, in their section and beyond. And feeling that they're sensing their team grow in this. And the West Ham fans are feeling that their team are a little bit passive here. They're sitting in and sitting deep, and that's one thing, but if you're allowing runners and balls through, you're just sitting ducks.
Nuno Espirito Santo standing in his coaching gear with his arms crossed. West Ham, who have spent 14 consecutive seasons in the Premier League since they were last promoted. Calafiori, he gets it back, left foot shot, that flies not far wide of the top left corner. Hermansen was diving to his right, but it flashed wide and behind, and another Arsenal chance comes and goes.
Yeah, really good interchange. Eza drifting, allowing a little bouncing pass, and then a bounce pass off Gyökeres from Calafiori, and he's got the space to get his strike away. Gets under a little bit, but again, the passing is being allowed, and they're allowed to pick their times, allowed to pick their movements, and West Ham just sitting in and hoping, basically. They're not providing much opposition right now.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0 on 5 Live from the BBC. And as well as if West Ham were to lose this, as well as certainly muddying the picture for West Ham, it would look very bleak for them. The other thing that would happen is, if West Ham lose this match, then the teams that have 43 points would be mathematically safe from relegation, and that now includes Nottingham Forest after their draw against Newcastle earlier.
Yeah, that was a big point for them, wasn't it? I feel that after the week that they've had, that point is something of a relief. But I think looking at tomorrow night, if West Ham lose this, Tottenham against Leeds, that is going to be something of an epic.
And also, if West Ham lost this, Leeds would be safe.
Yes.
So going into that match, Tottenham at home to Leeds, who have just found out that they're safe. However, we are getting slightly ahead of ourselves, Robin. I know you don't like to do that.
No, still 0-0. Still a chance for West Ham to keep something from this game.
There is. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Wan-Bissaka takes the throw on the halfway line, up the right-hand side, on our side of the field. Bennett breaks away, but Diouf for West Ham, the left wing-back as he is today, will play it back to Disasi, who's made a big difference, the on-loan Chelsea central defender for West Ham since his move in January. Plays it back to Hermansen. Hermansen drags it back with his foot, then clears it to the halfway line. Here's one over the top, but Calafiori's the big favourite to get to this. Ahead of Wan-Bissaka, passes it back to David Raya, who, as we're hearing before the match, it will be confirmed that Raya will win the Golden Glove again this season. And then a free kick against Fernandes in the central third of the field, and the referee, Chris Kavanagh, gives it against the West Ham midfielder. And a free kick to Arsenal on the halfway line for a little bit of a shove in the back on Gyökeres. So West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Arsenal will have this free kick. But first of all, before this, let's go back to Paul Gilmore watching the second of the Women's FA Cup semi-finals.
And just before the hour mark, Chelsea make it 2-0. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 0. It's Sam Kerr after a mistake from Keating, the goalkeeper, who spilt James's cross into Kerr's path. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 0.
Paul watching at Stamford Bridge, and the winners will play Brighton in the final after their surprise win against Liverpool in the earlier semi-final. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0 in the Premier League. Free kick taken short. Rice with a burst now to the edge of the penalty area, but gives it out to the right. Saka's got it back. Saka then square to Eza, 25 yards out. He hits the shot, but that was charged down by his England teammate, the West Ham captain, Jared Bowen. And safety first from Trossard, who got to the ball first and just played it back to Raya. So David Raya, 17 clean sheets in the Premier League so far this season. That's going to take him over the line. Can't be caught for the Golden Glove. Now here is Eza, middle of the field for Arsenal, as they play from right to left as we look from the dressing room side of the ground. Trossard, then infield towards Miles Lewis-Skelly, the 19-year-old, back to those two dependable central defenders. If Arsenal go on and win the Premier League and win the Champions League, I think those two, Saliba and Gabriel, will go down as one of the famous Arsenal central defensive partnerships. But in order to do that, you've got to get over the line and win the trophies. Ball downfield. Trossard now tries to prod it through for Gyökeres on the edge of the box. Then challenges for it again. It bounces off Wan-Bissaka, who couldn't keep it in. Throw into Arsenal.
It's all Arsenal at the moment. They're just biding the time, biding the moments and picking their passes. They went long that time, and it was the second ball that Trossard won. And the pitch all of a sudden starts to slope towards the West Ham goal again. It just feels like West Ham cannot get any momentum forwards.
It's been a confident display this so far from Arsenal after that massive high of Tuesday night, reaching the Champions League final for the first time for 20 years. And they've brought some of that momentum into this. This is more like the sort of performance that we saw from Arsenal in the opening months of the season. Rice takes the throw. to Lewis Skelly, then back to Rice. He's found Lewis Skelly inside the penalty area, shrugs off the defender. Actually, that's a good recovery there. Very good recovery from Fernandez. I thought he was beaten, but he recovered and was able to flick it back to his goalkeeper.
Vital as well, because they switched off for the throw-in. Declan Rice realising that it was a 3v2, so all he did was get the ball back and feed it to Lewis Skelly, who was the spare man. West Ham switching off.
Yeah, Fernandez was able to shepherd it over the dead ball line and then scoop it back to Hermanson, who took a little bit of a risk with his pass across the edge of the 6-yard box, but it was sure enough. West Ham were able to get it away. And now at the other end, Arsenal goalkeeper Raya goes long, gives it a boot, comes down for Arsenal and Declan Rice. The last time Arsenal lost here to West Ham in the Premier League, the goal scorer was the 19-year-old West Ham midfielder Declan Rice, who scored his first senior goal. And on that day, the West Ham manager Manuel Pellegrini said that Rice could go on to become the complete midfielder. Here he is now back with Arsenal, trophy-winning captain with West Ham. Ball out for a throw that Arsenal thought was theirs. Calafiori actually took it, but referee Kavanagh says no to West Ham, throwing on the edge level with the edge of their own penalty area.
Yeah, a bit of relief for West Ham, really, and there's such stark contrast that West Ham get possession of the ball finally on their own goal line and they're being pressed. The difference between that and the contrast at the other end, where they've got all the time in the world to pick the pass, pick what they want. Arsenal, the centre-backs can have the ball and stand on it and wait and find Lewis Skelly or whatever pattern of play they want to pick up. It's quite the contrast right now.
20 minutes played, West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. It's a little bit of a to and fro of the ball was out just next to Mikel Arteta, and it was initially, I think, given as an Arsenal throw. It is a West Ham throw, and Solchek now just hoists a ball infield. Ben White heads it away. A stretch from Lewis Skelly, it bounces on the halfway line. Gyökeres is there. The 21 goal Victor Gyökeres again getting the ball down, and it's out of play for a throw-in for Arsenal on the halfway line. And Ben White waiting to take this throw, still waiting, and then eventually takes it infield to Eza, who passes it into space, and there is space here for Calafiori to carry the ball forward. While Arsenal were involved with those exertions against Atletico Madrid, West Ham have had all week to prepare for this match. Wan-Bissaka coming in as the right wing back, all over the back of Trossard. That's a free kick to Arsenal on the left-hand side. So you would expect, Rob, that they'll have been preparing for this match all week with the change to 3 central defenders.
Yeah, and you're looking at how they've gone about this start of the game, and I understand the theory, I understand it's Nuno and Espirito Santo and how he wants to go about things, and if in doubt, just stick defenders and centre-backs in front of the goal. Essentially, that's what they're doing. At the minute, they're having 29% possession. They're just sitting in without the ball and just waiting and hoping that they can do something, but it's precious little so far.
Free kick then, after that flick, a scramble on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Castellanos was there. A very relieved Castellanos to find the ball bounce to him, and with his right foot just cleared it out for a throw on the far side, and West Ham living very, very dangerously. A brilliant delivery from Rice.
How's that not gone in? It's a wonderful delivery. He's got a fantastic touch on Saliba, and he's just waiting to drop in. It's Calafiori and then Saliba challenging in on the goal, virtually the goal line. No one's in control of it from a West Ham perspective. It's a quality in possession from Arsenal, quality from the set pieces, and so close.
Yeah, Calafiori got the little glance on it to the Rice delivery. That was blocked. And as you say, Rob, Saliba was almost in. Diouf made a crucial challenge in there as well. Now Arsenal crossing from the right, but that's headed away by Disasi. Good clearance from him. And then in the end, could have gone anywhere after the Diouf challenge. As West Ham looked to break, but Declan Rice back in a defensive role puts in the challenge. Then Rice ends up on the ground. West Ham coming forward. Castellanos, almost the first time we've seen them come forward. Somerville then leans into Trossard, fouls him inside the Arsenal box, and it's a free kick to the visitors.
Well, a challenge that's all it took, and the stadium came to life. It was Somerville sort of in midfield, just wanting to win the ball, and all of a sudden the atmosphere changes, the momentum changes, the direction of traffic changes. He wins a couple of challenges and just runs and plays a possession, keeps possession for a couple of balls, and from there West Ham fans come alive.
They come alive inside this stadium, even though they didn't actually end up having an attempt on goal.
Oh no, it was just a tackle, just a midfield battle that they won. That's all it was, and there's been so little. We've played 23, well, a half of the first half now, and
they've barely been out their own half.
That's the first tackle we've really seen from a West Ham player from the halfway line and beyond.
Ben White on the receiving end, and he's now receiving treatment. So Mikel Arteta has a moment or two now to call across Calafiori and Trossard and say a few words. He's got the usual uniform on again, Rob, that black zip neck jumper and the grey trousers and the black shoes. He's worn that week in, week out now.
Well, you would have thought the jumper would have been grey now. It's been washed so many times.
From the West Ham Stadium back to Wembley, Aaron Paul.
Right at the death with the last kick of the game. Rochdale have equalised. It looks like Manny Desiree, 26 goals this season. He's bagged his most important right now, and we're heading to extra time. Bournemouth 2, Rochdale 2. What drama!
And when you say, because we've still got a stoppage here, Aaron, when you say right at the death, how late?
96 of 96 played, John. The clock has gone round to 96:30. Luke Garrard, the Bournemouth manager, down on his haunches. He's lost his best two players through injury, and his players now look around, hands on hips. It was all in their control. 2-0 up, it's 2-2.
And what goes around comes around. I'm trying to remember, was it the 13th minute of added time?
103 wasn't minute, yeah.
That York City scored to deny Rochdale promotion.
Well, it was the 96th minute that Rochdale scored him when they thought they'd won it.
That's right. And it's not finished yet at Wembley. Ben White still receiving treatment, and this is lengthy. And so there's a bit of unease among the West Ham supporters who are wondering why he can't just be taken off the field, and he is now walking off, so play will resume. Ben White will have to stay off, obviously, for the 30 seconds. Meanwhile, in the League 2 playoff semi-final, Rob Law.
Grimsby 1, Salford 2. Salford come from behind to carry a slim advantage into the second leg on Friday. They were behind after just 30 seconds when Rhys Staunton hit a stunning volley into the top corner, but Salford responded through Callum Cisse before a controversial header from Aluwar completed the comeback. Seemed to be an offside in there, but the goal would stand. Salford have never made it to an EFL playoff final. They're halfway there. Grimsby 1, Salford 2.
Thank you, Rob. Chesterfield, Notts County, a little bit later on. We'll keep you across that during the course of 6:06. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. I'm not sure Ben White's going to be able to continue. In fact, Zubamendi is ready to come on now on the side of the field. So that's going to mean a bit of a rejig, isn't it, for Arsenal. Bowen for West Ham deflects into the area, but beyond the run which had been made by Diouf, the left wing back. He very nearly got there, but it ran through to Ryan.
Yeah, much better from West Ham in the last couple of minutes. And you're just seeing Zubamendi stripping off. I'm not sure. Declan Rice is sitting in at right back at the moment. The cameras went straight onto Lewis Skelly, but he has obviously been playing at left back at times, and so this is going to be a rejig, because you've got Mosquera on the bench, who has played right back, of course.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah.
In fact, started two of the biggest games recently. Mosquera, one of the legs against Sporting, and the Manchester City game. So that's it for Ben White, who is really struggling, actually. He's had to walk around the pitch from the far side, and he is walking very gingerly there.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened to him?
I don't know. He's holding his hip, but whether that's just in terms of trying to support his leg, but it's a midfield challenge. That was the one from Somerville that they had at that time, which changed a little momentum in the game. Declan Rice has stayed at right back, so assuming he's just going to sit there and carry on in the position.
Well, that's an interesting move in itself, because with Zubamendi coming on into the midfield and Declan Rice playing at right back, obviously you then lose Rice's influence from centre midfield as Raya slices the ball downfield and it bounces straight out of play on the full, so it's a throw into West Ham. The home supporters here don't need much encouragement. Ben White has still not made it around them. The end of the pitch. He's now passing the corner flag. He's being assisted by one of the Arsenal physios, and obviously now with these big matches to come and the Champions League final only 3 weeks away, it's a concern for Ben White.
Yeah, huge concern for him and the World Cup.
Now
he's been reintroduced. I think Declan Rice, when they're in possession, he sits in the right side of the three almost, with Gabriel coming to the left-sided centre-back, Saliba in the middle, and Ben White, Declan Rice is almost a right-sided centre-back. So when they're in possession, it doesn't change much. When they're out of possession, it's massive.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. That's Rob Green. Choice of listening right now, by the way, on your BBC Sounds app, on Sports Extra, the one-day international, the women's one-day international between England and New Zealand. On Sports Extra 2, the Challenge Cup semi-final, where the latest score is Warrington 6, Hull KR 14 for the right to play Wigan in the final. And the County Championship continues on Sports Extra 3, where already today there has been a win for Middlesex against Lancashire by 6 wickets. Every match live you will find on the BBC somewhere. Cricket pages. Souček thought the ball might have struck his arm there as he tried to clear it on the edge of the box, but he was supporting himself on the ground. It's worked away to Jupe on the left-hand side. A West Ham attack. Crossfield pass. Wan-Bissaka, though, was in two minds, and in the end it drifted all the way past him and out of play for the throw into Arsenal on the edge of their level with the edge of their own penalty area. And it is all over at Wembley, or at least the 90 minutes plus are over. Boreham Wood 2, Rochdale 2, Rochdale coming from 2-0 down, and that will be going into extra time. Half an hour played here in the Premier League. Earlier, all of the matches finished as draws. Burnley 2, Aston Villa 2, Crystal Palace 2, Everton 2, Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 1. We'll have more reaction from those matches at half-time. And were this match to end, as it is right now, all square, as the ball is played forward, but Hermansen for West Ham will come out and allow the ball to bounce up into his chest. If this were to end up as a draw, the Premier League title race would be back in the balance again, as it's played back to Hermansen, who passes it out to Disasi, now out to Fernandez, who's appeared over there on the left-hand side. Fernandez, another part of the improvement for West Ham in the second half of this season, the midfielder. Long pass from Disasi, and Juve pushing well forward down into the Arsenal right-back position. Saka's gone with him. He gives it back to Somerville, who is behind him. Here's Fernandez. Fernandez, high crossfield pass, Calafiori, and then Wan-Bissaka went with a first-time attempt to volley it across the penalty area, got it all wrong, and just volleyed it straight behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, he saw the run of Jared Bowen inside him, but again, West Ham getting bodies forward, as you said, John. They actually had a 5v4 on, but the ball was at the back. And then when they went forward, they realised that they actually had an overload up front, and that in turn tells the difference between the opening 20 minutes and the last 10 minutes, really.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. And after Arsenal's strong start, the chances that they had, weren't able to convert any of them. Suddenly it's a much more even match since the injury to Ben White. West Ham have come back into it. If it stays like this, Manchester City would be able to go top again on Wednesday on goal difference, if they're able to win that match against Crystal Palace. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. And under grey skies here at the London Stadium, in the grounds of the Queen Elizabeth II Olympic Park, in all of its spring glory, Saliba is tripped by Castellanos, and it's a free kick to Arsenal, 10 yards inside the wrong half.
Gyökeres has been chuntering away at Chris Kavanagh for about 2 minutes whilst the game has been going on. He fell under a challenge from Mavropanos, and he was incensed, and he's just carried on going. You just feel how many times as a referee are you going to take it? You're going to sit there and say, OK, keep having a go. I think he could talk himself into a bit of bother.
He's revitalised, isn't he? In terms of winning over the Arsenal supporters. I think we could probably put it in those terms, couldn't we? Certainly with the 3 goals that he scored in his last 3 matches. And in the Premier League, it's 9 goals in his last 12 Premier League appearances. Past 20 now for the season. As Gyökeres does get a touch on this. Zubimendi taking it forward, might have been caught. He was caught, says referee Kavanagh. It's going to be a free kick. Central position, Castellanos with a challenge on Zubimendi, sent him stumbling down. Yellow card as well. Free kick for Arsenal, yellow card Castellanos.
Yeah, really good from Gyökeres. There's Lewis Skelly with time and space to pick the pass, and just found a really nice area behind the West Ham midfield and running into that area. It's running into the space. It's what we would call really a promising position. I think that's what the yellow card was for more than anything. So another set piece, another chance, arguably too straight for a cross. He's going to tempt fate to say too far out for a shot on goal.
Well, it must have been round about this sort of range that Declan Rice scored those free kicks against Real Madrid last season.
And we've not seen one since.
We've not seen one since, and actually we've not seen one before.
No.
His only goals direct from free kicks. Eza standing with Declan Rice. There was a touch of desperation, by the way, from Castellanos, who it was a last-ditch foul. He threw himself into it, Zubimendi, who was away, and then Castellanos threw his arms up as if to make out that he'd been fouled by Zubimendi.
I think he was frustrated with his teammates because they'd allowed the space for Zubimendi.
Okay.
We have the draft excluder.
We do.
Somerville,
I think it is, who's sitting on his bottom, supporting himself with his hands, and then reluctantly has to lie down on his side as though he's just rolled over to have a sleep. Eza is actually going to be the player to take it. So, Eberici Eza, 25 yards, maybe a little more. Eza with the right foot, free kick, tried to curl it round the wall, hit the outside of the wall. West Ham wall does its job, and then Castellanos is the man who can actually hook it away back to the halfway line. And even the defending of that set piece from the West Ham supporters in this all-important match for West Ham has induced a roaring ovation.
Yes, a little bit tense, shall we say, a little bit nervous from the West Ham fans, but they've seen an improvement from their team.
And the other thing as well with West Ham, their goal difference is so much poorer than Tottenham. West Ham's goal difference -19, Tottenham's 1 point ahead of them is -9. And West Ham, with 10 minutes to go to half-time, Mavropanos passing the ball, lovely first-time touch that from Juve to Somerville, and Somerville turns and takes it away from Lewis Skelly and approaches the penalty area and then gets his shot all wrong. As I think it was Saliba closed him down, he snatched at the shot and really scuffed it, sliced it, whatever you want to call it, and it bobbled away wide of the goal.
Yeah, did everything right up until the final moment. Virtually tackled himself, completely confused himself with his feet. Somerville of 12 months ago was doing that. Somerville this season, the revitalised Somerville, was one that you're thinking that opportunity there is key for him, exactly where he wants it, and he just got it all wrong.
Yeah, Somerville of maybe the Somerville of earlier in the season, because it's 2 months since he last scored a goal. You know, Somerville in the groove. That was a brilliant move, actually. The pass from Juve, superb, and the way that he turned away from.
But that's what he was. Skelly. That's what he was doing 12 months ago. That's it. They're looking fantastic till the last moment, and then just making that decision, that critical touch, getting it wrong, and ever since he got injured, it's not quite been the same.
That was super cool from the Danish goalkeeper Hermansen there. Dropped the ball, passed it across the front of Gyökeres. However, it has started West Ham off on this move. Somerville trying to reach it. Gabriel in on the challenge, and he was caught. Somerville was tilting after the ball, and as Gabriel cleared it, Somerville on his follow-through caught the leg of Gabriel. Gabriel had cleared the ball, kicked through it, and Somerville caught his leg at that point, and Gabriel is down. That could have been nasty for him, but I think he's going to be okay, and it's a yellow card for Somerville.
Yeah, he's at full tilt, Somerville, and it's just a touch too far. You can't can't really have a go at him about that one. The one before he got wrong. This one, there's a ball from Jarrod Bowen that's just a stretch for him. And Gabriel read it really well, got in there first, and it's unfortunate, nothing more really. There's no intent from Somerville.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0 at half-time. We'll have more on the earlier draws in the Premier League. What a big win for Celtic. 3-1 against Rangers. And on Wednesday we'll have commentary on Hearts Falkirk, by the way, as well as the latest on Manchester City Crystal Palace. So listen to 5 Live Wednesday night to hear that Scottish title race is absolutely gripping. Arsenal with Trossard, another ball with the outside of his right foot from Trossard. This is for Gyökeres to chase, and this is a real wrestling match between Gyökeres and Mavropanos. Comes back to Trossard on the left-hand side, then back to Gabriel, who fortunately for him and for Arsenal wasn't hurt in that challenge from Somerville. Gabriel. Arsenal have already lost Ben White in this match, if you just switched on, so Declan Rice is now operating as the stand-in right back. Mosquera's on the bench, but Mikel Arteta instead chose to bring on Zubimendi into the midfield and to play Rice as the right back. Odegaard and Havertz on the bench as well for Arsenal again, as Eza scoops the ball forward for the run of Saka down towards the dead ball line, but 2 West Ham men with him, and in the end Saka can only deflect it behind, and it's a goal kick to West Ham, and it's still 0-0, Rob Green.
Yeah, they're managing it better, West Ham. They're managing being out of possession better. They're picking the moments when to press and when to really harry Arsenal. There was once down the channel on the left that Gyökeres made the run and got there, and Mavropanos all over him, and then down the right with Saka, and Diouf can get around him and just usher him out of play. So those moments where at the start of the game they were being overrun, I think with the exclusion of Ben White as well, his link-up play has allowed them a little bit of a breather.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. And after that early part of the game where Arsenal had so many opportunities, the scrambles, the saves from Hermansen, still 0-0. Gyökeres, he's been caught there by Disasi as he played it just a little late from Disasi, who doesn't feel that was the case, because he reacted angrily to Gyökeres' reaction to the challenge, and referee Kavanagh allowed play to go. It's out of play for a throw into West Ham. Gyökeres has stayed down.
It's been a proper battle, hasn't it? Gyökeres against the 3 centre-halves, and I'm not sure how much Disasi really left on him there, if anything at all. Maybe a top of the boot, maybe a stud on the toe. It wasn't much. Yeah,
and Gyökeres is able to get up, continue, and West Ham have to throw halfway inside their own half that Chris Kavanagh says they need to take again. I'd be tempted to say, you know, Rob, if this does end up as a draw, that maybe Manchester City might be the slight favourites in the title race, with the goals that they scored yesterday. Goal difference now, currently, Arsenal's plus 41, Manchester City's plus 40.
I'm going to have to go and check the league table before I come back to you on who's the favourite.
It would be very tight. Certainly Manchester City ahead on goals scored, but obviously the matches that are left as well. Arsenal, they've got the games at home to Burnley and away to Crystal Palace. But 0-0 here. This is what's mattering right now. Wan-Bissaka coming forward on the right-hand side. Fernandes. And now on the right flank with Todibo. Does well. Todibo's cross. Gabriel clears it. Up in the air. Back into the full-back position. Back towards Todibo and Trossard, who are jostling together, bumping off one another. Bounces out of play. Todibo hobbles away. The assistant actually has given that as a throw into West Ham.
Yeah, and your centre-back's crossing the ball. Therein tells a story of how much West Ham have grown into this game, that they're getting players forward, they're managing to get up the field, they're managing to ask a question. They've not created a really good opportunity, but there's encouragement there for them and the fans.
Todibo's okay, even though he's still hobbling.
I'm not sure he is okay.
No, he's part of the new set, isn't he? Centre-backs with their socks down. Todibo, long downfield for West Ham. Wan-Bissaka heads it on. Souček into the challenge. There's a high foot there on Lewis Skelly, but he gets back to his feet. The Arsenal midfielder, Calafiori, didn't clear it. Then Lewis Skelly was challenged by Souček, and Lewis Skelly down on the ground again, and it's an Arsenal free kick, and West Ham don't like it.
Yeah, it was reckless from Souček. It's through the back of him. He's saying I won the ball, and arguably he did, but he does go through the back of him. No great surprise that Lewis Skelly gets up and walks away and is absolutely fine. But it's the element of lack of control that Chris Cavan has seen that really was that, and moments before, the challenge before, that Lewis Skelly felt he should have had a free kick as well.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0 early on in the match. Arsenal had the Calafiori chances, they had the Trossard headers, that very good reaction save from Hermansen. We had the free kick in from Rice, the Calafiori header, the crucial tackle from Diouf to deny Saliba. Those chances were all in the first sort of 20 minutes of the match. Since then it has been more even. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0, but still Raya hasn't had to make a save, as Arsenal have possession. Going to go back to the Women's FA Cup semi-final in a moment, but Arsenal with the ball in the centre field. Lewis Skelly, who's certainly taken some rough treatment over the course of the last few minutes or so. Calafiori, now he has Trossard on the left-hand side. Trossard against Wan-Bissaka, moving down the line from left to right, but now back onto his right foot, then back onto his left. Trossard's ball into the near post, too close to the goalkeeper. Hermansen can dive forward and drop onto it, and we'll bring in Paul Gilmore again from Stamford Bridge.
Well, sub Mary Fowler has set up an interesting last few minutes. An 86th minute goal, left-footed from about 25 yards into the bottom corner. It's Chelsea 2, Manchester City 1.
Arsenal on the attack with Saka. Diouf goes with him. Still Saka into the penalty area now, trying to find a position as he comes in field. Plays it square, but Wan-Bissaka was able to slide forward and clear the ball into the centre circle. Raya's come a long way and is able to hit the bouncing ball to Carol Fiori, who loses out to Wan-Bissaka. Arteta right next to that feels that Calafiori was fouled. I'm not so sure. Wan-Bissaka takes it on down the right. His cross. Oh, a header from Castellanos, which is saved by Raya to his right. Comfortable enough for the goalkeeper. Still had to make the save, but the diving header, and West Ham have their first attempt on target.
Really good action, and it was the best chance that West Ham have had. And it's all from Wan-Bissaka winning the initial ball and then whipping an early ball in. It is at a comfortable height and a comfortable distance from David Raya. He chooses to go with one hand. I think he's fully confident he's making the save. Mikel Arteta's fuming down on the touchline, but with absolutely no reason whatsoever. His player just lost the challenge, and again, West Ham just having that ascendancy.
West Ham corner then. Somerville to take this from the left. Castellanos, diving header from probably 12-13 yards out, and Raya had a good sight of it, able to get one hand to it, push it away wide and behind for the corner. Somerville's waiting to take. Arsenal, who caused real chaos with their early corners. This is West Ham's first of the match. Half-time approaching, and it comes from Somerville. Raya gets a good punch on that. It's fired back in by Fernandes, bouncing on the edge of the 6-yard box, but bounces away from Todibo. And Raya was able to very gratefully run across, scoop it up, overarm it out to Gabriel, who miscontrolled it, and he was rather fortunate there as he swung a leg at the ball that he didn't make contact with Wan-Bissaka, and it's out for a throw.
Yeah, no need. Closing moments of the first half to rush out from David Raya. It's just a moment's alarm for Arsenal when that ball dropped. Weren't completely sure who it was going to drop to. They managed to shepherd it back to Raya, and again, we've seen West Ham come into this more and more.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. First save that Raya has had to make. Second biggest hands in football. And on the massive rectangular screens, which must be the biggest screens in the Premier League, it says 3 minutes of added time at the end of this first half, and it looks like, a little bit like Manchester City yesterday against Brentford, that the title challengers maybe and on the massive rectangular screens, which must be the biggest screens in the Premier League, It says 3 minutes of added time at the end of this first half, and it looks like, a little bit like Manchester City yesterday against Brentford, that the title challengers maybe 0-0 at the break. Let's see, still time for another attack, but it's broken down.
Changed, that's where it's changed. The aliveness, the alertness, the loose balls in midfield, they've been so much better at that after about the first 20 minutes.
But before this, more from Paul Gilmore at Stamford Bridge.
Drama at a stunt.
The Women's FA Cup semi-finals. Arsenal on the back foot here as West Ham have the free kick, which is hit forward from centre field by Fernandez, headed away out of play by Gabriel, and that is the end of the action for the first half at West Ham's London Stadium. And Mikel Arteta runs away across the claret carpet, past the West Ham badge, down the tunnel, out of our sight, into the dressing room. 0-0 at half-time, Rob Green.
Yeah, all the big early moments for Arsenal, in complete control in the opening quarter of an hour. You felt it was a matter of when they were going to score, when they were going to pick their opportunity. West Ham managed to scrape by with those chances. A big save from Hermansen, one of them. And bit by bit, they've grown into the ground.
And West Ham's coming back into the match happened from kind of the moment that White got injured, and Rice moved to right back.
Yeah, his influence has dropped in the game. Declan Rice has kind of become a bit part of it, and also the overload on that right-hand side that Ben White naturally does with Saka has gone from Arsenal's game.
Right, intriguing, important, so important for both clubs. And at the break here, West Ham 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, John. Rob, we'll be back for second half commentary. Obviously, we've got a lot to get through between now and then. It's been a very dramatic day, and it's still ongoing at Wembley, Aaron Paul.
Half-time and extra time, Steve. Bournemouth 2, Rochdale 2. Extra time has been flat, both in the crowd and on the pitch, naturally, after the adrenaline rush finish in normal time. Rochdale doing a York, scoring deep in added on time, 106.5 minutes on the clock, when Manny Desirue nodded home past the goalkeeper. Just watching a repeat of it, the ball nodded down by Desirue onto the shoulder of the defender Chris Bush, and just celebrations from Jimmy McNulty and co. But both managers have gone to their respective sets of fans at half-time in this interval and have just gone and tried to G the crowds up to try and see if they can bag a goal and a place in the EFL in the next 15 minutes. If no one does, then it's off to penalties. Bournemouth 2, Rochdale 2.
Aaron, thank you very much. He will keep you right up to date. Let's go back to the Riverside. How's England women's run chase going against New Zealand? Henry Moran.
Intriguing game this. England require 55 from 96 balls, so they're in a good position in terms of time left in the game. It's the 6 wickets that they've lost that is the problem. 156 for 6, chasing 211. Charlie Dean, stand-in captain, is there on 3 alongside Maya Bouchier, who has played outstandingly well. She's 55 from 67. England require 55 from 96 with 4 wickets in hand.
Let's check in on the county cricket, shall we? Kevin Howes is at Trent Bridge.
Yeah, interesting. 18 overs left of this third day here. It's the top 2 meeting. Nottinghamshire 27 for 1 in their second innings. They trail by 7 runs. Surrey all out eventually for 449 in their first innings. A century for Dan Lawrence. Josh Tong of England bowling very well with pace. He removed Lawrence, caught by the keeper, but he also struck his England teammate Gus Atkinson twice on the helmet in successive overs. Eventually Atkinson had to leave the field, and now he's been officially replaced by Rhys Topley in this game after he failed that concussion test, so we hope he's going to be okay. Elsewhere, Middlesex beat Lancashire by 6 wickets, and Yorkshire are 40 for 3 in Birmingham, chasing 549 to beat Warwickshire. Harry Brook is 9 not out in his first game of the season.
And you can listen, by the way, to the England-New Zealand match on 5 Sports Extra. Right, all the best reaction on the way to the big football stories of the day, and then second half commentary from the London Stadium. Let's get the news now with Joe Critcher.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner says Labour's current approach isn't working and needs to change following the party's disappointing election results. Sir Keir Starmer will set out a fresh direction for Labour and the UK in a speech tomorrow. A group of British passengers and crew evacuated from the cruise ship hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak while boarding a plane in Tenerife. They'll be flown to Arrow Park Hospital on Merseyside, where they'll be assessed for symptoms and then put in quarantine. Meanwhile, medical staff and supplies have been parachuted by the British military onto a remote island in the South Atlantic to help a man with suspected hantavirus. The British citizen had been aboard the cruise ship earlier before being dropped off at his home on Tristan da Cunha. And stars have begun arriving for the BAFTAs in London tonight. The Netflix show Adolescence has 7 nominations and Celebrity Traitors is up for 5 awards. You can follow on the BBC News live page online. The ceremony will be broadcast live on BBC One and iPlayer at 7 p.m.
On BBC iPlayer.
What are you doing now?
What are you doing?
The casino. We're £9,000 down this month, so someone's robbing.
Starring Sheridan Smith and Michael Socher. How much have you taken?
I don't remember. How about you?
About £1,000.
£1,000?
The odds are stacked against them.
Stack them, OK.
We have to stop. If I go to prison, me kids, the cage.
We'll find a way through this. Me and you. There's no way we'll get caught.
Absolutely no way on earth. Watch all episodes on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sports with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0, half-time in the Premier League. Second half commentary on the way. Already today, former Newcastle man Elliot Anderson equalised late on for Nottingham Forest to edge them closer to Premier League safety. Finished Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Here's Forest manager Vitor Pereira.
A very difficult week, especially after the game against Villa. You know, imagine that the 2 days after we are here to play again. This week we face Chelsea away, and we won 3 points. Today 1 point was not in our mind. We want to win the game, but in the end, I must be honest, I'm happy with 1 point because it's an important point for us.
Elliot Anderson getting the goal. He's been fantastic all season, we know that. I mean, just some of what he means to that dressing room.
He's a top player, top personality, facing, 2 days ago, the funeral of his mother. This is not, he needs to be strong. I cannot imagine inside of him, but the way that he wants to honor his mother is to go there and on pitch and to do everything to help the team, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, really good words there from Vitor Pereira. And Elliot Anderson, after he scored the goal, pointed to the sky. It was a really, really poignant and powerful moment. So after that equaliser from Elliot Anderson, Newcastle have now lost 27 points from winning positions this season. Let's hear from their manager. Here's Eddie Howe.
It's a huge disappointment for us. I think we're hugely frustrated with ourselves. We played really well in the second half. It was much better. Scored a really good goal and looked like we're on the way to an important win. But in isolation, if they had equalised, you wouldn't read too much into it normally. But because it's off the back of a season where we've done that consistently, then that really hurts, and it feels like a familiar feeling for us.
Yeah, we spoke to Harvey Barnes and he said very similar as well, that it's not just today but it's been a consistent thing throughout the season. What do you put that down to?
I think it's multifactored. I don't think there's one thing. I think the first thing I'd say on it, if we're able to score the second goal in that game, which I think we had enough presentable opportunities to do so, it's a non-factor in the game. So I do think our attacking hasn't been as ruthless and as efficient as it's been in previous seasons. We won a lot of games previously 3 and 4-0. As soon as there's one goal in it late in the game, there's always a chance that you can make one mistake and get punished, and that's what happened today for me. I thought we were comfortable in our defending the majority of the game, but the goal is a moment that we'll live to regret.
Eddie Howe with 5 Live's Chris Sykes. To Selhurst next, finished Crystal Palace 2, Everton 2. Here's Everton manager David Moyes.
I thought we started the game quite well the first 10-15 minutes, and then obviously the second half as well. More disappointed that we get 2-1 up at one point, that we let them back into it again. But we also missed the chance to get 3 as well. So, but they did as well. They missed some chances as well. So it wasn't just us. So maybe a draw was getting close to a sort of fair result in the end. But from our point of view, we just felt as if our main goal scorers this year have been Illy Ndiaye and Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, and they've both just sort of dried up with their quality and their finishing in the last few weeks, which is probably just costing us a little bit. They've been so good all season, both of them, but just the moments, they've made the difference quite often this year.
Full-time whistle's just gone at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 2. Khadija Shaw, who's leaving City in the summer, heavily linked with Chelsea, has just equalised for City against Chelsea. So that's going into extra time. Winners will play Brighton, who won 3-2 at Liverpool to reach their first final. Back to the Premier League, Aston Villa had to quickly refocus from the Europa League celebrations. They drew 2-2 at Burnley today. Champions League qualification via the Premier League far from certain. Here's Unai Emery.
Proud of the players, also proud of how we are doing it, how we are competing today, how they compete. Fantastic. Of course, we are ambitious and we don't want to stop here. And next challenge is on Friday against Liverpool. A huge challenge at home in Villa Park. And hopefully we can share this moment as well with our supporters. And then the final in Istanbul. Wow, fantastic. Of course, always I want more, but I must accept as well how we are doing this season.
In our first commentary of the day, Celtic beat Rangers 3-1 in the Old Firm, so they're now 1 point behind leaders Hearts at the top of the table. Martin O'Neill's side went 1-0 down, but then turned it around in style.
Maida's overhead kick! Oh, what a goal it is! Dyson Maida is in dreamland! It is outstanding! It is artistry at its finest from Dyson Maida! And this place has gone absolutely wild!
It was a big win for us. I thought we were terrific, particularly in the second half, coming from a goal behind against big rivals. I couldn't be more delighted with the effort of the team, and certain individuals were magnificent. Listen, we may fall short, who knows, at the end of it all, but it's been a fabulous effort and spurred on here by a raucous crowd who I actually believe have carried us over the line a few times here in recent times.
Yeah, the atmosphere was quite something, particularly when that Maida goal went in. You are 2 wins away now from yet another league title.
Well, those 2 wins are like it's like climbing a mountain, isn't it, really? Very, very big matches, big tasks for us ahead. But we can only deal with it accordingly.
Martin O'Neill, 08085 909 693. The line's open for 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Hello, Rob.
How are you, Steve? I've got my eyes peeled to the National League playoff final 2-2. Rochdale, scoring 90 plus 6, encapsulates their season. Late goals, the one that York scored against them. What a fascinating game. Bournemouth, 30 seconds from the Football League. Luke's done a great job. How long's left? 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
That's the National League. Chris was at the game, wasn't he, Celtic?
Yes.
What a goal. We were talking about Maida's goal.
Word.
What a goal. And what a win for Martin O'Neill's side. Hearts drawing last night. I said Celtic would win it. Chris doesn't think they will. That last game could be huge, couldn't it?
Live on 5 Live on Saturday, Chris.
Live. What a massive game that is. So, again, in the Premier League, it's 0-0 half-time. And how big's this game for both West Ham and for Arsenal? Quite incredible. What a day of football. And obviously, Nottingham Forest not mathematically safe, are they?
It depends what happens in the next 45 minutes.
If it's a draw here, then yes. Is it? If it's a draw here, they're safe?
If it's a draw, they're safe because the goal difference is so big.
Yeah, okay. Then
You're really testing me. I've got one more for you, Rob.
Yeah.
I've just seen this from Eddie Howe. Asked about Anthony Gordon being an unused sub. It was tactical. The team performed well in his absence. He's training well, but we're looking at the future as well. That's interesting.
Very interesting. As a manager,
What, are you going to sign Anthony Gordon?
No, not me. So yeah, listen, Newcastle fan, give us a call. Lots to talk about, and you said it's Chelsea against Man City, isn't it?
2-2 extra time.
Incredible. That could go to penalties. Also, the winners meet Brighton. So 08285 909 693.
Thank you very much, Rob. Perfect timing, because we're going to hear now from the Brighton head coach after they booked their first ever place in the Women's FA Cup final with victory at Liverpool. Here's Dario Vidicic.
Just really, really proud of the performance, particularly in that second half. I thought the girls were a joy to watch. There's not many teams that come here and can dominate Liverpool the way we did. And, it just sort of felt like it was coming. It was coming. I didn't even think about extra time, even though it was so close to it. I just sort of, as I was sitting down, I feel like it's coming. It just felt like the momentum, how dominant we are, that the goal was bound to come. And, fantastic touch from Nadine, and then to bury it into the side netting. And it's probably the most I've ever celebrated a goal. So unbelievable feeling.
Already today it finished Grimsby 1, Salford 2 in the first leg of the League 2 playoff semi-final. Notts County begin their 7th playoff campaign in the last 9 years. They travel to face a Chesterfield side who did the double over them this season. A North Derbyshire derby, Adam Cottier.
There's not much that separates these two sides, both in terms of geography and their recent football journeys. 3 years ago, Notts County beat Chesterfield in an epic National League promotion final. Chesterfield recovered to follow them up a year later. Both teams lost at this stage in the League Two playoffs last season, and in this campaign they were separated by just a single point. Notts County missed out on automatic promotion after an unsteady end to the season. Chesterfield are in better form and their stadiums are sellouts.
I know that the Championship playoff final at Wembley is the richest game in football, but given what it takes, there can be no more stressful game than the National League playoff final, and we might, Aaron Paul, end up with penalties.
Everyone's knackered, Steve. I think 25 minutes into extra time, we've seen our first actual chance of extra time. Bournemouth are knocking the ball around like it's some form of exhibition. Let me tell you about that chance very quickly. Josh Landers with the header following a really good curling ball into the box. He got good connection on it, good purchase, easily held by Oliver Watmouth in the Rochdale goal. 2-2 it is. Bournemouth 2, Rochdale. Rochdale scoring in 106 minutes, equalising. They're doing a York to Boreham Wood, if you know what I mean. If you know, you know. But we are, 4 minutes away from penalty kicks here. What a game. Bournemouth 2, Rochdale 2.
One of 4 2-2 draws on 5 Live this afternoon, so we'll keep you right up to date with extra time of Chelsea-Manchester City in the Women's FA Cup semi-final as well during second half commentary from the London Stadium. A massive 45 minutes. Rob Green's with John Murray.
Yes, West Ham 0, Arsenal 0, and Declan Rice, it would appear, Rob Green will be back in midfield now because Mikel Arteta is going to make another change. There's the whistle. Second half begins. West Ham kick-off. Christian Mosquera is on. He's replacing Calafiori, which means, Rob, Declan Rice will be back in midfield, having briefly replaced Ben White there, and Lewis Skelly will go to left back for Arsenal.
That's how it looks, and that's what they're now onto the pitch doing, and you'd feel whether that was an injury to Calafiori or tactical, it just didn't work with Declan Rice at right back and the midfield not firing as it was. They lost control of the game. Declan Rice's presence in there, his knowledge of keeping possession, retaining possession and control like they did in the first 20 minutes, sort of dripped away from them really as West Ham grew into the game. So Mosquera and Lewis Skelly seems a better fit already.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0 then. Crucial match at both ends of the table as Disasi sends a long pass forward that just runs all the way through to Raya. West Ham, as they started with Hermanus in goal, Disasi, Todibo and Mavropanos are the three central defenders. Mavropanos in the middle, Disasi on the left, Todibo on the right. Wan-Bissaka and Diouf, the wing backs, Souček and Fernandez in the middle, Bowen and Somerville, the wide players, and Castellanos as the centre forward. Arsenal cream shirts, claret shorts, claret socks, in possession with their goalkeeper David Raya, all in green. So Raya in goal. So now Mosquera at right back, Saliba, Gabriel and Lewis Skelly. Then Rice and Zubamendi, Saka, Eza, Trossard and Gyökeres, with Odegaard and Havertz among the substitutes, but Mikel Arteta's already used 2 of his substitutes, and here is Lewis Skelly, who will go back to Gabriel. Choice of listening right now. The Challenge Cup semi-final continues on Sports Extra 2, where it is Warrington 6, Hull KR 14. You can watch that as well on BBC 2 on the television or on your device, where I see the badminton horse trials and the World Table Tennis is also available to watch this afternoon. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0, and West Ham on the back foot with Arsenal. Still lots of people haven't gone back to their seats, strangely, at the start of the second half for this all-important match. Arsenal, if they win, will stand 2 wins away from being Premier League champions. Matches against Burnley and Crystal Palace Indeed, coming into this match, the 3 wins Arsenal needed to clinch the title were against the teams 18th, 19th and 15th in the Premier League this morning. Eza giving the ball to Saka on the right-hand side. But West Ham have asked some questions in the second period of the first half. However, Arsenal, pass from Zubamendi, that's cut out by Disasi. Now it is Mateus Fernandes for West Ham in the claret shirts, white shorts, white socks. Still Fernandes in possession, but he delays and waits on the ball. Still got it, so there's no great momentum to this West Ham attack, and Arsenal can just drop back into their positions.
Yeah, subdued start, really. Slow in possession, Arsenal. And West Ham just allowing that possession to happen.
Although Wan-Bissaka's able to get the ball down. And now he is Bowen. So little or nothing of the West Ham captain in the first half. Plays it across Castellanos with a shot. Then Bowen again with the left foot effort from the edge of the D, but straight at Raya, or more or less straight at Raya, and he was able to deal with that quite comfortably.
Yeah, it was comfortable, and it's fortuitous really for Jared Bowen to get it back to him. Castellanos' strike was blocked, but it's just a short ball forwards, clipped in, and Wan-Bissaka beat Lewis Skelly to it. All of a sudden that change of position for him, that alertness of the angles of where a player's coming from, the speed of the ball into that area he needs to attack, wasn't quite cued into it.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0, and Jared Bowen in that kind of position on his left foot there just didn't get it right. But you know, Bowen in that kind of position, that could spell real problems for Arsenal. 0-0. Did you see Pep Guardiola last night at the end of his press conference?
Gave the salute, didn't he?
He gave the Irons salute. His parting words were from Pep Guardiola, "Come on, you Irons." Here's Eza back to the halfway line, and Arsenal will start again. Gabriel actually is going to go all the way back to goalkeeper Raya. A little bit of unease, looking down at the Arsenal fans to our right when Gabriel passed it there. Nervous applause, I would call that.
Yeah, it's got a feel of the going back to the clunkiness of Arsenal's of the past. They looked sharp in the first 20 minutes. You just wonder how much did West Ham allow them to look sharp. You know, we can all say we can look good against mannequins, we can look good against a passive team, and when that West Ham has stepped it up a little bit in terms of aggressiveness, Arsenal have just come up short a few times.
Foul by Zubamendi on Somerville, so West Ham take the free kick, and they go all the way back to their goalkeeper Hermansen. Made a couple of important saves in the first half. Oh, that's a poor pass from Disasi, who's given it away in the central third. Rice with the pass forward for Gyökeres. Mavropanos was able to come across and just chip it to El Hadj Malik Diouf, the left wing back, who then runs into trouble, loses possession. Mosquera to Eza, now Trossard, middle of the West Ham half as Arsenal play from left to right. Trossard just keeps possession, keeps the ball at his feet, turns full 360 degrees. Now Zubamendi under these grey skies on this May day. Rice with a pass up towards Mosquera, newly arrived substitute. Then Bukayo Saka, 2 goals in his last 2 matches. Saka, including the goal that took Arsenal in the end to Budapest. You'll hear that with us on 5 Live. Saka again is going to try the shot from 25 yards, but it, on his left foot, sails away high and well wide, and actually lands in the West Ham fans behind the goal, which in this stadium is an achievement in itself. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0, and we will, I think, have drama over the course of the next 15 minutes, whatever happens, because Aaron Paul's watching the National League playoff final at Wembley in extra time.
Boreham Wood 2, Rochdale 2. We will go to penalties. Let me just fill you in on a chance just a moment. It'll go right at the death in extra time. Manny Desiree cross pulled in from the right. Couldn't quite convert it past the goalkeeper. His manager had his head in his hands. But this one has finished 2-2, and in a game laced with drama, it will be penalties that will decide who takes a spot in the Football League next season. Boreham Wood 2, Rochdale 2, penalties on the way.
Right, thanks Aaron. So we will be bouncing between the London Stadium here and Wembley, and back to Aaron to find out who joins York City in the Football League for next season. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0 in the Premier League, and it's been quite a tame start to the second half, and when the play's like this, that's when I feel that you can feel the nerves.
Well, there's not a lot else to take your mind off it, is there? There's a lot of standing and looking at each other at the moment, sizing each other up. Arsenal trying to work themselves out again. It's Declan Rice who's now taken up that defensive midfield role. I think that's where Arsenal need him best, to dictate play. And Zubamendi's gone in front of him. Eza's just come on the ball. Very rarely mentioned him so far this afternoon.
Yeah, Rice back on the ball. Arsenal spent over £100 million on Declan Rice. Saka now on the right, his cross, but that's headed down and away by Disasi, and Diouf is just able to keep it in play next to the corner flag. Saka challenges him, kicks out at him and fouls him, and it's a free kick. Bukayo Saka. I think some of the West Ham supporters down there are suggesting that might have been worthy of a yellow card for the Arsenal captain on the day, but it's just a free kick.
Nuno Espirito Santo applauding his team. The defensive work. They're just keeping the shape and saying to Arsenal, what have you got? At the minute, they can't really work it out themselves.
Warrington 6, Hull KR 20 now in the semi-final, and back to Stamford Bridge, the Women's FA Cup semi-final. Paul Gilmore.
Into extra time and the turnaround is complete. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3. It is Khadija Shaw again. Chelsea, their own worst nightmare. They played out from the back, they gave it away. The cross came in, Shaw with the header, and Manchester City have turned this one around. The league champions leading 3-2.
Bonnie Shaw, who was named this week as the Football Writers' Women's Footballer of the Year. West Ham attacking down the left-hand side. Some controversy for the Arsenal supporters that Declan Rice didn't win the men's award ahead of Bruno Fernandes. Saliba, the ball was out of play. It's flagged. It was actually taken on down the left-hand side by Castellanos, but the assistant on the halfway line flagged that the ball was out for a throw into Arsenal.
Yeah, everyone stopped because it had gone out, and Castellanos is appealing. Only he and the assistant referee on the touchline would know, but you trust the assistant referee to get it right, because he stood there. He's only got one job at that point.
Arsenal breaking forward. Eza playing it infield to Zubamendi, who tried to give it back to Eza down the right wing, but just overhit the pass, and it agonisingly for Eza rolled over the white line before he could get a foot to it, throwing West Ham.
Yeah, that one did go out, and it was just overhit, and it's just it's a simple pass forward from Zubamendi, and he's just not working, just doesn't feel right for Arsenal right now.
It does not. Saka chipping the ball infield. Disasi, right foot, volleys it away, and Gabriel will have to allow that to bounce down. Bowen is actually chasing after Gabriel. Now Lewis Skelly turns, passes it back to Raya, and this West Ham crowd here, knowing how important this match is for them. West Ham needs something out of this. If they can win, it would be a shock win, and it would cause tremors at the top of the table as well as the bottom of the table. But it is currently 0-0.
How long till we see Odegaard? I don't see him, how he can stay on the bench whilst it's like this.
Well, that's him warming up down there.
Yeah, he's down there warming up, and you're looking to say what can get Arsenal ticking, what can spark their creative juices, and he is, and has been for years gone by, the man. And it seems only a matter. Well, I'm not Mikel Arteta, but I'd be getting him on very, very quickly.
Manchester City scored their goals in the last half hour, didn't they, yesterday? Arsenal 0-0, just over half an hour to play, and this was identified as the match that might cause problems for Arsenal of the 3 Premier League matches left, and well, it is. Didn't look like it in the first 20 minutes when Arsenal did everything but get the ball into the West Ham net, but still 0-0. Mosquera halfway inside the West Ham half. Such a gloomy afternoon, we can actually now see the shadows from the floodlights on the pitch of the players. Zubamendi puts his foot on it. This is too ponderous from Arsenal. Eza passes it forward. Saka at close quarters. Back it goes to Saliba again. And then foot on ball, pass square. Gabriel, he's going to have a little foray forward with it. Zubamendi. West Ham have got everybody back behind the ball. Eza's ball through to Saka. Saka's left foot shot, a rising effort. And that flies over the top of Hermanson's crossbar, and that also ends up in the West Ham fans. Goal kick 0-0.
Hopeful from Saka from distance. And what they did really well last week against Fulham was that they risked the ball going forwards. Gyökeres in particular made runs and went, we're just going to lose it. And I tell you what, something might happen. And it did.
They're not doing that today. They're not risking the ball. Particularly in this second half, this 12 minutes, it's all the passes have been very safe and in front of West Ham.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. As Somerville and Castellanos, and then Mosquera goes in with Juve, but the ball comes out for West Ham. Castellanos goes back to the edge of the area. Disasi's long pass downfield. Lewis Skelly's got to deal with this left foot back to Raya, who then passes it back to Lewis Skelly, who just keeps the ball in on the far side. As promised, back to Wembley, the penalty shootout. Aaron Paul.
3 penalties taken. Boreham Wood have scored one of theirs, and they've seen one save. Callum Reynolds sending his penalty wide, and Oliver Watmouth pulling off the save. Sam Beckwith has scored one for Rochdale. We're level in the shootout, 1-1.
Back there with Aaron Shortley. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. This is 5 Live from the BBC, the World Service with us as well. And the now levels increasing as Trossard passes the ball through to the edge of the area. Saka, Juve got there first though for West Ham, but that sends it away, bouncing out near the corner flag for an Arsenal corner.
Yeah, tracked well, but then a really poor clearance. Had the opportunity to clear it upfield and miscued it straight off for a corner. And when Arsenal aren't firing, when they aren't clicking, they can always turn to the set pieces.
Yep. Declan Rice trots out into the corner, and I see some people in the stands there. Well, some of them are waving at him. I think some of them are gesticulating at him, and some of them are applauding him.
Rather begrudgingly, I think.
It was a mixed reception, as they say, for Declan Rice over in that corner from the West Ham supporters. The Arsenal fans down there in the red and white scarves, they raise the noise levels. Arsenal with the corner, Rice to take it, swirling in, headed away for West Ham, out to Saka on the edge of the box. He gives it back to Trossard, then back to Saka, has to just readjust himself, Saka, before he gives it to Trossard, who crosses left-footed. That is headed away by Mavropanos. Eza got there first. Rice on the left, a left-footed cross from him, comes off the head of Wan-Bissaka. Castellanos challenges for it. Saka on the edge of the box, challenging on him. The ball runs away. Fernandes has stayed down. Referee says play on. Saka back in possession. His ball in. That's headed away by Souček. Arsenal now are upping it here. Declan Rice. Rice's ball curls in beyond everyone and through for a goal kick. 0-0 here at the West Ham London Stadium. Back to Wembley, Aaron Paul.
Rochdale very much in control of this penalty shootout. Boreham Wood have missed a second. Matt Rush, great save by Watmouth as Boreham Wood make it 2-2. But Rochdale still have a penalty to take. It's 3-1 in the penalty. Don't know where I am, John. I'm all over the shop. 3-1 Rochdale lead the shootout.
We'll be back with you, Aaron, once it is all sorted out and decided, possibly even for the moment, that Rochdale, with the score as it is in the penalty shootout, will clinch their place. What a match. 2-0 down to Boreham Wood at Wembley. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. And we are now into the last half hour. As I say, Manchester City yesterday scoring all of their goals in the last half hour of that match. Arsenal bringing it forward with Gabriel through to Declan Rice. Rice holding off Somerville, giving it to Eza. Back to Wembley, Aaron.
Rochdale are back in the EPL after 3 seasons away. Cameron Cox missing his penalty, and Jimmy McNulty's side have won this at the death. And I'll tell you what, John, after missing out with 106 points, they are through via the playoffs. Rochdale back in the EPL. They've beaten Boreham Wood 3-1 on penalties.
Saka for Arsenal, still 0-0 here in the Premier League. Saka to Rice, edge of the area. He takes it back out of the box, now to the right-hand side. And Mosquera and Arsenal just keeping possession, but again, not moving the ball quickly enough.
No, Arteta's down below us, having a meeting with his 2 support team in there. He's not on the edge of his technical area, which we are so used to seeing. He's trying to work this out, because at the minute, West Ham are saying, what have you got to beat us? And they can't come up with an answer.
Might be a match, this, for the guile of Kai Havertz, if he's fit. Because as Arsenal win a free kick in the central third of the field, just the way that the match is, quite stodgy.
Yeah. Well, they had that period, didn't they, where they crossed and it got headed by Souček, it got headed by Mavropanos, by Disassi. I mean, that's what West Ham are set up for. They're there saying, go on, try and get through us.
Declan Rice turns in the central third of the field, moves away from Fernandes and is then just caught by Fernandes. Down goes Rice, free kick to Arsenal, and this from the angle, probably best part of 25 yards, but certainly a chance for Rice to play it in from the right.
Yeah, it's soft. Panos really frustrated, just dangles a leg, there's no real need. You're thinking that Declan Rice has lost the ball, he's overrun it, and then he wafts his leg in and just asks to be tripped up, asking him to fall over his leg, and real pressure being put on themselves here from Fernandes.
Arsenal just organising themselves. We should say many congratulations to Rochdale, coming from 2-0 down today to winning it in a penalty shootout at Wembley, and after what happened in the final match of the season against York City, and the fact, as Aaron said, the two of them so far clear, over 100 points, it does feel justice has been done there.
I think there's a few Bournemouth fans coming away might be feeling a bit begrudging of that.
I bet they will. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Rice to take this free kick. West Ham holding the line just inside the box. Big moments these now in the last half hour here. Rice curling it in towards the back post. Gabriel heads it across. The referee has spotted an infringement, and it's a free kick to West Ham. And West Ham fans actually down below us here on their feet with their arms in the air.
Yeah, I saw that from all the way up here. Chris Kavanagh's down in front of them. It's Mosquera just coming across and tripping up Souček in the line. I was just thinking, he stood right there. You can see. I know there's a lot of bodies in there, but if you make it that obvious, Chris Kavanagh's going to see it.
In the Challenge Cup semi-final, Warrington 6, Hull KR 26. And earlier in the Prem, by the way, big win for Exeter against Bath, 35-12, and an even bigger win for Harlequins, 76-17 against Newcastle. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. With this scoreline, Arsenal would move 3 points clear of Manchester City, who could then go level on points if they win against Crystal Palace on Wednesday night. And likewise, West Ham would go level on points with Tottenham, who play tomorrow night against Leeds United. Tottenham with the superior goal difference. Arsenal trying to work the ball out from the back. That's how important this match is. It's given away by Mosquera. Fernandes through now. Bourne with a shot, right-footed, blocked on the edge of the area. Bourne takes it up again. It bounced away. It was deflected away, and Bourne was the first to the ball. West Ham with it again. Their supporters urging them on with the encouragement from the stands here. 60,000 people. Now you can hear them.
Yeah, you're just feeling like we did in that first half. Any sign of encouragement from West Ham players, they're going to attack, that they're going to ask a question, and it's West Ham fans are behind them, but not really sure where it's going to come from other than Jarrod Bowen. He's the main perpetrator in the piece.
There's West Ham's crossfield pass bounces beyond Juve and out of play for a throw into Arsenal. Well, Odegaard is going to come on now. We see the club captain being prepared, and Havertz as well, but first of all, actually Pablo is coming on for West Ham. So Castellanos being replaced by Pablo, who, as you pointed out, Rob, has yet to score for West Ham, and this is his 15th appearance.
Yeah, it was a signing in January when they desperately needed attacking options, as Castellanos has looked the more accomplished, tidier, livelier centre forward, just knows what he's doing. Pablo looks like he's more of a work in progress. I'll tell you what, it's sometimes to score your first goal.
Castellanos walks away, raises his hand to the crowd as though he's just knocked in a ball on the 18th for a level par round of 72 and takes his seat in the dugouts. And now the big move by Mikel Arteta, with just over a quarter of the match to go. Two of his biggest guns, Odegaard and Havertz, coming on to replace Eberici Eza. And it is Zubamendi. And well, he's substituting the substitute.
Yep.
Case of needs must.
Yeah, and you're feeling, how is this going to play out? How are they going to do this? And well, I said Odegaard, you said Havertz. We were both right in the end. Thinking Odegaard's going to sit in alongside, maybe with Havertz as two attacking midfielders in front of Declan Rice, behind Gyökeres. They've been flat in this second half. They've been very, very wooden.
as an attacking force, and you just feel it's going to have to come up with something really ingenious to get this game open with.
Really, they've created so little, Arsenal, in the second half. I said little, almost nothing, apart from the set pieces, the corner, as Gyökeres carries the ball to the edge of the area, he's bundled over. It's a free kick to West Ham, and actually a yellow card as well for Todibo for that challenge on Odegaard. Back to the Women's FA Cup semi-final, Paul Gilmore.
Well, John is stunned. Chelsea are throwing everything at Manchester City, but still trail by 3-2. Cuthbert has just fired over the crossbar, but with 7 minutes left of extra time, time is running out. 3-2 Man City.
5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. 606 on the way. 08085 909 693. If you have just switched on, Rochdale have been promoted, winning the penalty shootout against Boreham Wood in the playoff final at Wembley. And Arsenal level with West Ham here in the London Stadium. Declan Rice with the free kick. Rice just hitches up the left side of his shorts. Up goes the left arm. Declan Rice, right-footed delivery, comes off a West Ham head, bounces down on the edge of the 6-yard box, shouts for handball, that's blocked next to the post. The shot that came in, still rattling around inside the area. Todibo's able to clear it, back to Rice. Rice's ball across, that hits Wan-Bissaka, and he rather gratefully is able to volley it away to the halfway line. I think it was Wan-Bissaka who got the initial head on Rice's free kick into the box that caused mayhem.
It was a really important block by Mavropanos on the line. It was a flick almost from Wan-Bissaka that caused the confusion, caused the chaos, and the ball, much like in the school playground, just needed to be stabbed in, needed someone to get there. In the end, it was Saliba getting a toe on it, or he was just waiting to get the shot on target. No one quite managing to have a swing at the ball.
Well, there's also a suggestion that Pablo, who was on the ground, might have handballed it. Well, he did handball it. It did strike his hand, but he was on the he was flat on his face on the ground. His arms were there supporting him, and the ball was rattling around. But the referee Kavanagh has. We're not seeing a restart in play here, so they're clearly having a look at this. But I mean, if that gets called against him, and in fact, there's the crossing of the hands from the referee to suggest they've had a look at that, and they're not going to give that as a penalty. And rightly so.
Yeah, it was impossible for Pablo to get out the way, to disappear. I don't know what anyone's supposed to do there, but
Champions League.
Definite penalty.
I don't even think that would have been given in the Champions League.
Let's all just toss a coin and find out.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. It is, however, a free kick to Arsenal near the halfway line. Declan Rice to take this, so a long right-footed delivery from Rice, or actually takes it square to Lewis Skelly. 20 minutes to go here, and it's still West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. And this is a scoreline that would invite Manchester City right back into the title race after their draw against Everton last Monday night. Ball cleared away by Somerville, and now Jared Bowen plays it down the line. Diouf, the left wing back, is onto this for West Ham. His cross to the near post. Pablo was after it. The defender went there with him as well. It was Declan Rice who followed Pablo all the way back there. And it's been given as a goal kick, much to the disgust of West Ham's players. I can see 4 players waving their arms around, West Ham players.
Really well defended by Declan Rice. Brilliant tracking back. And a fantastic clearance from him as well. He did so well. Chris Kavanagh gave a goal quick.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. It was outstretched legs together, Pablo and Rice. And the referee saw it as the West Ham player who got the touch behind.
Well, you can often tell from the player reaction, and Pablo just turned around to get ready for the corner. No, he didn't. Chris Kavanagh didn't see it.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. In the last fortnight of this Premier League season, with the title on the line, Lewis Skelly concedes a throw-in. That was the cheer that you heard. Arsenal now on the back foot. Throw-in taken. Bowen has got it. He's up against Lewis Skelly. Now Souček with the cross. That's headed away, stretching header away by Gabriel. They say to Disasi, shoot. He was 40 yards out. Sensibly, he played it square to Todibo. Then Bowen to the edge of the area. Pablo standing up. Saliba with a challenge on him. Just got a touch on the ball, says referee Kavanagh. Nuno didn't think so. More palms apart from the West Ham coach.
It's not going to take much for this West Ham fans to appeal for something. I think that was a good decision on the edge of the box. Pablo never really had it under control, but you can feel the temperature rise again.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Yes, apart from meteorologically, where it is still quite chilly. Arsenal coming forward with substitute Odegaard, and the Norwegian now halfway inside the West Ham half, gives it to Saka. Saka now teasing, right foot cross. Gyökeres at the back post, 8 yards out, heads it up and over the top for a goal kick. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Back to the Women's FA Cup semi-final. Paul Gilmore.
With 2 minutes left of extra time, Chelsea thought they had their equaliser. Nuskin with the header, but what a save from Keating, who tipped it on to the crossbar. It's still 3-2 Man City.
Goal kick to West Ham here. The volume increases. The highlights will be on Match of the Day tonight on BBC One, anytime on the iPlayer. The Premier League goals from 8 o'clock on the various BBC platforms. Search Football Daily on the BBC Sounds app. The Premier League review will be on there tonight with Rick Edwards and co. And also, remember, via Sounds you can listen again if you want to. The Wardley-Dubois fight will be on there from last night to listen back to. Here is Trossard on the left-hand side. Now Rice, pacey bowling. Saka might be offside, but it's bounced away from him through to Hermansen. The West Ham goalkeeper is able to grab the ball. In any case, the flag did come up against Saka.
Yeah, this is where Declan Rice comes into his own. That little bit of incision, that perfect through ball was there. Saka offside, wasn't able to control it, but Arsenal need more than that, more of that. They need to risk those balls forward. Those runs forward need to happen. They just need to create something, because it's precious little in this second half.
Yeah, Havertz hasn't been able to get into the game yet. That's a nice pass from Fernandes. Juve with the cross, but that's way over the top of Pablo. In fact, it's actually reached Wan-Bissaka over there on the right-hand side. Wan-Bissaka gets it down, walking towards the penalty area with the ball. Souček back to Wan-Bissaka. Just think what a goal could do for West Ham. If they're able to score, if they're able to win this match, what a difference that would make. Juve now again, Todibo is there. Bowen into the penalty area, the West Ham danger man. The ball whipped across and at the near post. Raya, it was too hot to handle. He had to pat it behind and wide of the near post for a corner to West Ham.
Well, it wasn't a controlled cross, and it ended up as a shot. David Raya's gambling. He's stepping out to try and block the cross at his near post, in between him and his defenders, but it goes firing in at the near post and nearly catches him out.
15 minutes to play. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0, and a corner for the home side. Relegation threatened West Ham. Bowen takes it in. Raya gets a punch, comes out to Juve. Oh, Juve's touch took it way behind Fernandes, trying to set him up. Actually sent him scampering back to the halfway line.
Well, it was with his right foot, and therein is why he didn't shoot with his right, because his pass was that bad.
Still goalless, Fernandes. Now Mavropanos. Lines open for 6:06. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton tonight. 08 085 909 693. Chris will want to talk about Celtic's win against Rangers as Somerville carries the ball in from the left-hand side, right-footed ball. That's headed away by Gabriel. This is a good period of pressure for West Ham here. Arsenal, though, clear through Trossard, but back to the halfway line, and West Ham can start again. More encouragement from their supporters. Juve on the left wing to Somerville, who's just tripped by Saka, was sent tumbling down. Somerville gets up and turns and looks at Saka and says, what was that about? And a yellow card for Bukayo Saka.
A little bit of frustration in that, I think. Just a yard behind the play, tracking, didn't have to, and there was no way, shape or form he was trying to win the ball there. He was just kicking Somerville.
Yep, tripped him, kicked him, yellow card. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Mikel Arteta just hitches up the left side of his grey trousers, looking over his shoulder, having a word there with his coaching staff, then makes that quite long journey here at West Ham to the edge of the coaching area, and then for some reason puts his feet way wide apart. Juve takes this into the edge of the box. That's cleared away for Arsenal. Back to Juve again. and he turns it to Fernandes. Fernandes makes as if to hit the long pass, doesn't. Saka in front of him, and Fernandes actually goes all the way back to goalkeeper Hermansen, right-footed from him. This is a long one through the middle. This is for Pablo to jump for, headed away, comes back to Fernandes. Pablo with a strike. Fernandes is in! Saved by Raya! 1-on-1. He spread his legs, and the Arsenal goalkeeper made the block.
He's got to score. He's walked it to the goal. He's 4 yards out. He just had to pick his spot. From there, a touch just took it away from him, and it was a stab more than a controlled effort. Everything had the coolness and composure. And what a save. David Raya, square on, just throws his leg out, spreads himself as far as he can, just gets hit by the ball. That's the moment of the game, the moment West Ham were waiting for.
Massive moment. That takes me back to... I'll come back to that, because we've got this West Ham corner. Bowen takes it into the back. Mosquera. And Mikel Arteta has called Noni Madueke across. So it would appear that Saka, you would think, it would be Bukayo Saka. It is still really feeling his way back. Champions League final, not far away. So Madueke is on for the final minutes of the match.
Well, Saka had been booked. Mosquera has now been booked on this right-hand side, and they've had the joy with Diouf and Somerville down the West Ham left. You're saying just get the ball to Somerville now, run at Mosquera.
West Ham are having their best spell of the match, and it's coming in the last 15 minutes of it. West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Crucial save from Raya there, from Fernandes. Fernandes will now take this free kick, which actually swerves away out towards the far side of the area. I think Mavropanos got the touch, he did. It's out of play for a throw into Arsenal in their own left-back area. In the League 2 playoffs, we know it was Grimsby 1, Salford 2, the final score. Chesterfield, Notts County underway with you, Adam Cottier.
Yes, 0-0, but Chesterfield have missed a penalty. Lee Bowness hitting the base of the post after Mandeville have been tripped by Ness. Chesterfield 0, Notts County 0.
And the England-New Zealand Women's One-Day International continues on Sports Extra. Ball long into the Arsenal box, over the head of Pablo, bounces through for Raya. Well, he certainly proved his worth once again, Raya, with that save. I think the Fernandes touch just took him a little too close to the goalkeeper, didn't it?
In first viewing, you just thought, just put it in.
Now a pass for Odegaard down the right-hand side. Madueke for the first time in the match, but his cross low along the edge of the 6-yard box, too close to Hermansen, who could step out of the 6-yard box and gather it up.
But they risked the ball forwards. He made the run, they played it forward, they found the space, they got an opportunity. It's simple sometimes, football, isn't it? It's basic. You make runs, you create something. You don't make runs, you don't create anything.
Arsenal coming forward. It's still 0-0. Here's Havertz, hardly been involved since he came on. His low ball across, Mavropanos, straight into his path, right foot out of play, bouncing across the claret carpet next to the blue crossed hammers. Throw into Arsenal, which is taken. Madueke flicks it back to Odegaard. Odegaard, lovely, through to Havertz, right side of the box, cuts it back, but into the path of Souček, who falls over as he clears left-footed out for a throw.
Really clever run, really clever ball, and it's Odegaard to Havertz, the two substitutes. What a difference they could make at the minute.
That's the craft that Arsenal are looking for. Now Odegaard again, Havertz once more, the two together. Havertz in the area, drags it back, foot on the ball, out into the full-back position to Madueke. Now Mosquera, right corner of the penalty area. Madueke again. West Ham have got everyone apart from Pablo back inside their own box. Arsenal at walking pace with the ball at their feet. Into the last 10 minutes, still West Ham 0, Arsenal 0. Odegaard, Rice tries to give it back to Odegaard. Odegaard trying to find a position, very congested. Trossard, right foot, finds a way through the crowd, and Arsenal have the lead. It's come late, and it is being celebrated wildly. What a blow for West Ham that is, but what a lift for Arsenal. What a lift towards that elusive Premier League title. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1.
It's a massive step for Arsenal, heading towards the title. You didn't know where it was going to come from, and in the last 2 minutes, you've just seen Havertz and Ødegaard come together, and it is Ødegaard making the difference, just stepping in, jinking through the left-hand side of the West Ham defence, picking the pass to Trossard, and there he is, with the binoculars in the celebration, firing home a deflected strike. They barely created anything in this second half, but when it mattered, Ødegaard has produced something of a little bit of quality, a little bit of ingenuity in there, and all of a sudden, a sigh of relief from the Arsenal fans from our right, and all is well in the world for the Arsenal fans.
It took a little deflection off Souček, that maybe helped. Believe it or not, that's Leandro Trossard's first goal in 2026. And you don't need a pair of binoculars to see how important that is for Arsenal.
Oh, the save from David Raya. That was huge in terms of the season, in terms of this game. You look at big moments, you big players turn up. David Raya at one end, Ødegaard at the other. All of a sudden, Arsenal, from looking 1-0 down, clear at the top of the Premier League with 5 minutes to go.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. 1-0 to the Arsenal. Not for the first time this week, not for the first time this season. And West Ham are going to make a change now. They're going to throw on Callum Wilson. Now West Ham desperate to get something out of this. They thought they might have a chance to win it when Fernandes was through and Raya made the save. And within a matter of minutes, at the other end, Trossard with that right foot shot from 13 yards or thereabouts means that Arsenal are in front. I see heads in the crowd looking to my right. I wouldn't be at all surprised if some Arsenal fans are in the West Ham sections and have become quite obvious, because in the aftermath of the goal that was scored by Trossard, long pass forward from West Ham, but that's all the way through for a goal kick. So 1-0 to Arsenal here. West Ham desperate now. Back to the FA Cup semi-final at Stamford Bridge. Paul Gilmore.
City win 3-2 after extra time. Chelsea led 2-0 with 4 minutes left through Cuthbert and Kerr, but Fowler inspired the turnaround before Shaw's double sent City to Wembley, where they will face Brighton in the FA Cup final. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3.
Yeah, just a little bit of a disturbance in the crowd here, and I think possibly some people have been moved out of that area down to our right. The stewards are onto it. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. With this scoreline, Arsenal would go back. They'd be up to 79 points. They would go back 5 points clear of Manchester City, and Arsenal would know that if they win their last 2 matches against Burnley and Crystal Palace, they will be the champions. The ball's out of play for an Arsenal throw. Just a little bit of pushing and shoving. Some of the players came together, but that's quickly calmed down, although referee Kavanagh wants to speak to Noni Madueke. Rob Green.
Yeah, they celebrated like they thought that was it, didn't they? They all of a sudden, it was something out of nothing, really, for Arsenal. But the size of the goal, the size of that moment for them, the outpouring of emotion, that was beyond the goal within the context of a season. That was a goal that meant so much more.
Yeah, you could feel it. Leandro Trossard, that's his first goal, Trossard, in 26 appearances. Remember, he was scoring regularly, wasn't he, in the first half of the season? But and on Tuesday night, it was Trossard who hit the shot that was saved by Oblak that led to the Saka goal. West Ham got to go for it now. Callum Wilson is on. Wilson scored, remember, right at the end of the previous home match against Everton to win it. That all-important win. Whistle's gone for an Arsenal throw on the halfway line, which is also being disputed by West Ham.
It's a free kick, John, I think, given by the 4th official. Chris Kavanagh's not seen it, got a word in his ear, and the 4th official said something to him. It's off the ball, we don't know, but temperatures. Tadibio's been arguing with Gyökeres. Not Madueke's been arguing Pablo.
Oh, a red card for one of Nuno's coaching staff. Well, two of them came to the edge of the area. Red card was waved in the direction of the two. Nuno just standing there with his arms crossed. But one of the Nuno's coach, he's actually emptying his pockets before he goes down the tunnel. Not sure what he had in there. His keys, shoelaces.
He might not get home if he hasn't got his car keys.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. Red card for a member of the West Ham coaching staff. Time running out for West Ham. We're in the 89th minute now. Arsenal's goal was scored in the 83rd. Lines open for 606. So much to talk about today. 08085 909 693. That is free from mobiles and landlines. Text 85058 on your standard message rate. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton taking your football calls on 5 Live on 606 tonight.
Saliba's now been booked for kicking the ball away, and a chance for West Ham. It's on the halfway line, a free kick. It's just nothing left other than to throw it into the box.
Fernandes is going to take this. It was Fernandes who had that chance that was saved by Raya. His free kick, that's headed away on the edge of the penalty area. Gyökeres now, he is challenged. He is fouled by Mavropanos. Mavropanos puts his hands on his head. It's a free kick to Arsenal, who are in absolutely no hurry whatsoever. Tuesday was Arsenal's 9th 1-0 win of the season. A 10th 1-0 win of the season will take them within sight of the finishing line, I would say, Rob.
Yeah, and you look at the games that have got left, as you were saying, John. Burnley and Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace would be the tougher test, but that's just before their European final, so you can see where all eyes will be for them come last day of the season. They're just letting the seconds tick by now, Arsenal.
Yeah, leaving it for Raya to come up and take the free kick 10 yards inside their own half. If Arsenal are able to see this out, they'll have a 5-point lead again, just as they had at the start of the weekend. They know they'd need 2 wins, but if Manchester City were to slip up on Wednesday night at home to Crystal Palace, then Arsenal would be 1 win away. And the next home match, relegated Burnley at the Emirates a week on Monday. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. 6 minutes of added time. So West Ham do still have 6 minutes, but it is Arsenal in possession. Hull KR are through to the Challenge Cup final. They've won 32-12 against Warrington. So it is a Hull KR Wigan Challenge Cup final in 2026. Arsenal hoping to win their first Premier League title since 2004. Odegaard down the right, challenge. Then Fernandes. Somerville now. West Ham on the move over the halfway line. Somerville now between 2 players, then runs into the challenge that comes in on him from Havertz. Just threw himself into the way of Somerville, blocked him. Yellow card being shown to Trossard as well. And a free kick to West Ham.
Take your pick from the Arsenal players who fouled him. There was 4 of them queuing up just to kick him. If it was anyone, you're saying, we know where your danger man is, we know who's been causing us the most problems. Just stop him by any way, shape or form.
Arsenal on the verge of a very big step towards this league title. West Ham though with the free kick. Fernandes high into the penalty area to the far side, over the top of Havertz. Did he get a touch on that? I'm wondering. It bounced over him. Referee says no. Goal kick to Arsenal, and we've already had almost 2 minutes of the 6 of added time.
Yeah, and West Ham have barely laid a glove since they conceded the goal, and we're looking at our monitors now, and they are going back to that save from David Raya. The goal gaping, and the replays are harsh on Fernandes because it just shows how much of the goal he had to hit, but it was a fantastic block from him. And you could say a title-winning save.
It was when it opened up for West Ham. Pablo giving it back to Fernandes, whose touch took him to the edge of the 6-yard box. Raya had to be quick, but spread himself, and with his right leg was able to make the block. And then, within minutes really of that, at the other end, Trossard's right foot shot through the crowd of players via the little deflection off Souček. That gave Arsenal the lead. And we are now in the 3rd minute of added time. West Ham win a free kick, and they say to Hermansen, come on, you take it. And so Todibo heads forward. In fact, everyone heads forward. West Ham shirts now as Arsenal hold their line in the middle of the half. Hermansen long and forward. Souček tries to head it on. He was challenged. Bourne couldn't get there. Wan-Bissaka is able to get it down on the right wing. Wan-Bissaka then infield to Bourne, whose cross is blocked. Lewis Skelly came and stood in front of that and blocked it out for a throw-in that Fernandes is trying to pick up the bouncing ball that wriggled away from him. So he picked one up off the cone. Throw-in taken. Flicked on by the head of Pablo. That's cleared away by the left foot of Declan Rice. Wan-Bissaka, he heads that forward for West Ham. This is desperate stuff now for West Ham. If they lose this, and they are losing it, as Hermansen has to head it down and heads it into Gyökeres, he was a little fortunate there, and it bounced out of play for a throw-in to West Ham. If West Ham lose this, they would be 4 points adrift of Tottenham with 2 matches to play. It would look bleak. They need to find something, West Ham. 14 seasons in a row in the Premier League could be coming to an end. Fernandes' ball headed down, Mavropanos, then the shot by Wilson, that's deflected wide. It hit an Arsenal man, and he's surrounded, Gabriel I think it was, by his teammates for making sure that he was in the right place to block the Wilson shot wide.
Celebrated like a goal. Huge block, just made himself big. Square on and stretch of a left leg. Hermansen's up. You're looking at West Ham, last throws of the dice here for them.
Bourne's corner. West Ham need this. In it comes left-footed. Raya comes, stretches. Hermansen's up, bounces down. Oh, the shot from Wilson blocked on the line. And the referee says it's a goal. The Wilson shot was over the line. It's a West Ham equaliser. Arsenal protest. But referee Kavanagh says it's a good goal. And it's a big goal for West Ham. And Callum Wilson, it's 1-1. Arsenal are pegged back. And West Ham are still fighting.
Breath of life into the London Stadium and into the life of the West Ham Premier League hopes. David Raya is pleading desperately, saying his arm got pulled down in there. It's an absolute melee inside the 6-yard box. Chris Kavanagh says, well, it's a goal because he goes over the line, only just. It's impossible. I think he just drops it. I think it goes through his hands. It bounces over the line from Wilson.
Well, it was blocked behind the line.
There's an arm.
Well, it's Pablo who's challenging Raya, and it is being checked for a possible foul by Pablo, who had his arm across Raya, who in amongst a crowd of players at the near post. Hermansen was in there as well, and it's a question of whether that arm from Pablo was impeding and fouling Raya before he flapped at it, got a hand to it, rattled round, bounced out to Wilson, whose shot was then cleared from behind the line.
It was well over the line. Now this is in the lap of the gods, because so many times, how many times this season have we said Arsenal have got the right side of decisions like this when they've been attacking? There are all sorts of arms all over to Pablo. He's got one arm across Raya. I mean, it's in the lap of the gods, this, John. I mean,
to make this clear, to explain to the listeners, as Raya is stretching up for the ball, Pablo's arm is right across his upper chest, under his chin.
It is a foul. It is a foul in any other season. It is a foul you're feeling in any other moment. It's the size of the moment. It's the size of what this goal means for the Premier League title, what this goal means for the Premier League survival. You feel in VAR, I've just got to make the biggest call of the season.
Yeah, it feels like that. Deep in added time here, Arsenal leading 1-0. West Ham think they've equalised, but referee Kavanagh is being sent to the screen now, and that would suggest that this West Ham goal is going to be ruled out. And Martin Odegaard is actually saying to his teammates, leave the referee be, and they're not leaving the field. Referee Kavanagh is off the playing surface now. He's looking at the screen on its extended black arm there on the side of the pitch, down to our left. And of course as well, in the context of the big decisions that went Manchester City's way yesterday in their win against Bournemouth, this is extra big.
Well, there must be, 5 different players holding each other, and there is the arm across David Raya, and it is the key decision in there because it goes through Raya's arms. It is a foul. It is an infringement on the goalkeeper. But Pablo himself is being held by Trossard. He's being held by another defender in there. It is going on everywhere in that 6-yard box. Declan Rice has got hold of Mavropanos. It's just impossible to say who's holding who and what makes a decision because there's so much of it going on. This is the difficulty that Chris Kavanagh's having.
But in the end, that arm of Pablo that is across the upper chest of Raya, here he comes, and he sends the players away. Chris Kavanagh walking onto the pitch, and he's going to explain his decision. It looks like the goal is going to be ruled out.
After review, West Ham number 19 commits a foul.
Arsenal celebrate. West Ham are incensed. Boos from the West Ham fans, many of whom turn away and begin to leave the stadium. Arsenal are still 1-0 up. The West Ham goal, the Wilson goal that they thought was the crucial equaliser, the lifeline, it's been ruled out and overturned.
What a moment. What a moment in the season for all the goals that Arsenal have scored from a set piece. It's a set piece that saves them. There's a pull of the shirt from Todibo. There's an arm across the body from Pablo. It is a foul. There must be 6-7 fouls going on there in the penalty area all at once.
And it's caused anger in the stands because they did show it on the big screens here. They showed the challenge. So play resumes. 6 minutes of added time. We are now in the 10th minute of added time. And obviously, that ruling probably took 3 minutes. 3-4 minutes. So we may well still have 3 or 4 minutes to play here.
You feel the atmosphere's gone. It has stuck an absolute pin in the balloon of the atmosphere. It's febrile moments ago.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. Hermansen takes a free kick from inside his own half. That's cleared downfield by Madueke. Gyökeres is chasing for this. Fernandes wins the throw-in, the final touch from the Arsenal man. Rob, you're perfectly qualified to give your view on that as a goalkeeper. If that challenge had been made on you by Pablo, your feelings would be?
It's a foul. Ask Bert Leno from 2 weeks ago against Everton. He got fouled in exactly the same way and it didn't get given. The consistency is just not there for these decisions.
West Ham, there's still a chance. 1-0 Arsenal lead. Todibo now to the edge of the box. A turn from Wilson. Wilson denied by that decision. Still Wilson, chips it across to the back post to stretch, it bounces down and it's cleared away by Madueke inside his own penalty area. He then blocks the run of Somerville. Still we play on as the ball is touched out of play by Trossard for a throw-in to West Ham. The referee says wait, don't take this yet. Has something else been spotted inside the area? No, play resumes with the throw-in. Only seconds left now. Fernandes has ball in. Header by Mavropanos from the edge of the area. And Raya allows it to drop wide of the post and behind, and that could be it. Nuno turns away. There is the final whistle. Absolute agony for West Ham. They thought they'd equalise deep in added time, and the goal is ruled out, overturned. VAR stepped in. The foul by Pablo on David Raya, and Arsenal win with that 83rd minute goal from Trossard. What a dramatic finish. And Arsenal now know 2 wins will do it. 2 wins against Burnley and Crystal Palace will see them win the league. And West Ham, they have got an awful lot to do to avoid relegation now.
The two contrasts. Absolute jubilation away to our right. And despair for West Ham. They are incensed. The players on the pitch, they cannot believe it. David Raya is being hugged. He's being mobbed by his teammates, as he well, for the save that he made. But it is the big call in injury time that will grab the headlines. I don't know, John, there must have been 5, 6, 7 fouls going on in that penalty area inside the 6-yard box all at once. David Raya is being fouled in there. We've been seeing time and time again keepers being fouled and goals being given all season. This is one that went in Arsenal's favour. This game just about went in Arsenal's favour and has tilted the title firmly in their favour.
Well, Chris Kavanagh, the referee, is leaving the field now. There's a man in a suit walking next to him. His assistants are behind him, and he is being booed off. There are angry gestures being made towards the referee. Something was thrown there, actually, that landed down in front of Chris Kavanagh as he disappears from view. The West Ham, the crestfallen West Ham players are still out there. This is actually their first home Premier League defeat for 4 months. But now they are 4 points adrift with 2 to play. And also, we can definitively say that the teams who have 43 points or more are now safe. So Leeds are safe, Nottingham Forest, they are both safe from relegation. And as for Arsenal, with this victory, they are 2 wins away from becoming the Premier League champions. And if Manchester City slip up on Wednesday against Crystal Palace, Arsenal would be 1 win away. And Arsenal's players celebrate. Trossard, right in the middle of all that, the man who scored the only goal, is being hugged by Mikel Arteta. And the Arsenal fans in the stands celebrate again after what was their 10th 1-0 win of the season. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. What a climax.
Right, 08085 909 693. Get your calls booked in. There is a lot to talk about, and that's just the last 60 seconds of this game. We'll be back with John and Rob in just a second. Other parish notices. So John's just summed up what it means at the bottom of the table. Forest safe, Leeds safe. For Tottenham, tomorrow night, 3-hour Monday nightclub, you will be kept right up to date with their game with Leeds United. And that's a Leeds team who've just learned that they're safe. So what sort of shape are they going to be in? If Spurs win that, West Ham will be 4 points behind them with just 2 games to go. West Ham finish with Newcastle away and Leeds at home. Spurs after tomorrow night have got Chelsea away at Everton at home. It is 3 from 4 to go down. We already know Wolves and Burnley. They will be joined by either West Ham or Tottenham Hotspur. Right, Rob Green. I thought that was the moment of the season, actually, and it could have gone either way. Having seen the Todibo pull, does that make it even more of a foul for you?
Well, it's a foul.
Regardless.
It is a foul, yes. And you're looking at 2 players fouling the goalkeeper. I would say that there has been, and you are welcome to open it up to 606 to say, if you have a grievance on a foul on your goalkeeper this season, there have been so many. It's been such a talked about topic that contact on the goalkeeper has been allowed more this season, that there has been such inconsistency with it. For it to come down to this has been huge. And it just feels like for VAR, for West Ham, for Arsenal in particular, with their set pieces, it feels like it's been the topic of the season, hasn't it? And it was, in isolation, a foul. There were 5 or 6 fouls going on at the same time in there, but it's where the ball landed. And then you're saying, OK, well, let's look at consistency. It hasn't been there this season. So I think Arsenal fans will turn around and say, yeah, of course, we won 1-0, we scored a legitimate goal, West Ham didn't. The rest of the season, everyone will say, well, hold on a minute.
Well, Robbie Savage has just sat down next to me, so before we get into 606, you can tell me what you think, because you're hopping around like you're on the touchline yourself.
Not a foul. It took about 25 times to see it. Is it a clear and obvious error? No, the ref hasn't given on field. It's gone to VAR. It's taken so many replays. Not a clear and obvious error. It's taken so long. Rob's got a good point. I think that is one of the biggest VAR decisions we've seen so far.
Agreed.
ever.
Yeah.
And it's not clear and obvious. Not a foul. Not a foul. Chris Sutton thinks it is. Rob thinks it is. I don't think it's a foul.
Just so everyone, you haven't seen the Todibo bit yet, have you?
Not a foul. Not a foul. The keeper's got to do better. The keeper's got to do better there.
So John Murray, do you want to come in on this?
Well, Rob, you were about to say.
Well, no, it's not clear and obvious because Chris Kavanagh just can't see it. There's about 15 players in the row, but I think the bigger breaking
25 times to see it, Rob.
I think, Robbie, I think they would. My guess is that they were actually looking all around the penalty area to see what else was going on.
There was so much going on. It was impossible situation for Chris Kavanagh in there. And therein lies the story of the season.
I disagree, because he's looking at that foul. He's not looking at what else is going on.
But he has to look at everything else.
But he's predominantly be looking at that foul, and it was showed about 25 times until they made a decision.
Robbie, we've seen VAR decisions shown way more times than that. We've seen VAR decisions take way longer than that.
Not a foul.
But what if Chris Kavanagh had looked at it, right?
Yeah.
Just hear me out. What if he'd looked at it and decided, okay, I think that isn't a foul.
Good.
He still has to look at 5 or 6 other things, because what if somebody else had committed a foul?
Well, there wasn't.
In either direction.
There wasn't one there.
But he needed to look at it.
Hang on. So let's look at every decision. Every corner goes into the box. That happens, as Rob has said, every week.
Steve, the one that springs to mind immediately is Bernd Leno against Everton.
Yeah.
He has his left arm held, so he can only punch with his right arm, and punches it into the back of the net because that's the direction his arm is going.
The keeper's got 2 hands to it, Rob.
That was deemed not a foul.
The keeper's got 2 hands to it.
He's being held by 2 players.
He's got
Robbie.
2 hands to it.
Well, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter how many hands he got to it. He could still be being fouled. You could get your hands to the ball.
It's not a foul. Listen, it's a massive debate. Rob, Chris Sutton thinks it's a foul. I don't think it is. It's as simple as that. This will be a debate forever.
Robbie, you disagreed with Chris.
Chris is